All Heroes is important because of the safe environment and visibility it provides to the marginalized groups competing within the Overwatch community.
Why is it so important? Well, they need a voice. They need a presence. And they need our support.
Calling All Heroes is our chance to kind of change that narrative and to prove that if we give the talent that is there a place to practice and a place to cultivate, it will inevitably rise.
This can play a bit closer to it, but the Genji getting shut down!
SK with a big pick on the bun though, opens the door wide.
What and Bone, the two DPS again, making the numbers count, making their ultimates work.
Another sustain tool being used in the sound barrier as well for the Marcel Academy. Everything's being thrown into this fight.
This Zen is absolutely monstrous.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Calling All Heroes minor broadcast. We are your casters for this evening, Tiny, Shiny, and CB, and I gotta say, we are stoked to be here to have the opportunity to broadcast such a wonderful event. Calling All Heroes means so much to both of us, and being able to have this brought out onto the big stage, allow these marginalized genders the opportunity to compete, has been absolutely wonderful, and I cannot wait to see what this weekend has to offer.
Absolutely. I cannot begin to tell you how happy and how excited I am to be here and to have this opportunity and what this tournament means to me. We got all these marginalized gender players and talent that have been underrepresented in esports and in Overwatch for far too long, and now they get to take center stage. They've answered the call. It's time for them to show us what makes them heroes.
And heroes we will find here. We've gotten all the way down to our top 16 teams. Our Swiss rounds took place in the previous weekend, but here we are now, ready to get even closer to crowning that champion. Here we have a quick view at the bracket, kind of giving you an idea of the journey these players will be taking over the next 2 days.
Yeah, we do have our reigning champions, Timeless Ethereal, over there on the lower right-hand side of the bracket. You gotta expect them to be making a deep run. Other teams, you know, we like to see in this situation. We got NYXL Academy, we've got Dart Monkeys, all of these squads that could be making deep runs into the playoffs here. And the ones to show off at the grand finals there tomorrow, so definitely be sure to stay tuned and wait for that to come around. But first, we're going to kick with Whiplash and Catboy Cafe over there on the left-hand side of your bracket. And, I mean, this is a great matchup for, I think, you and I to start off with. First off, you know, we have Catboy Cafe here. And the core of this roster, there's not just one player that I want to call out. The core of this roster came from Wisp Luminaria, which in the previous tournament ended finishing out 5th, ended up getting eliminated by Dart Monkeys. Could be, you know, trying to get a little bit of revenge, but they're going to have quite the gauntlet to go through if they want to get there, because, again, Dart Monkeys, you got to believe they're going to be making a deep run.
Oh yeah, you listed several of these teams that we saw in our bracket, and Dart Monkeys, they are on that list, and YXL Academy, they're on this, like, Timeless, they are on that list, and, you know, I love the opportunity to be able to start with these teams here. I know that they've had the opportunity to compete in the Swiss stage against some of these top teams, and here they are, the 8th versus the 9th seed, so Catboy Cafe coming in at the 9th, while this team has so much experience playing together. We're gonna have to see how that's gonna compare against the roster that Whiplash is packing along today.
Yeah, Whiplash is a team that we're kind of familiar with, or at least parts of it. You have Senna, Mari, and Panther from Athens Armadillos, and I know, you know, some smaller tournaments out in the marginalized gender scenes that we've casted these players. We know just how sick they can be. Senna on that hit scan is something that is just something to behold. She has the capability to pop off at any given moment and can completely deadlift this team if need be, but they can't have a proper situation where they have to put all their eggs in the Senna basket. You're going to want to have to see everybody step up and pull their weight, and if so, Whiplash has a pretty decent chance at taking this.
This is why we called out Whiplash as well, too. You highlight Senna so much, but in reality, you can't put, like you said, all of your eggs in one basket. It comes down to that overall team effort. While they have some experience playing together as a team for this time, they're starting out against a tough opponent. Catboy Cafe is not going to make this run easy for them by any means. And, you know, we can go ahead and start looking at our map pool as we prepare to get headed into this match, which arguably, especially considering the patch we're going to be playing on, is going to have a lot of influence on the outcome of the gameplay.
Yeah, and speaking of the patch that we're playing on, I'm glad you brought that up because we haven't really gotten a chance to see what the Junker Queen patch that has terrorized everybody's ranked games as of late, what that looks like in high-level play. The Overwatch League right now is still playing on the previous patch, so you're seeing a lot of Winston, you're seeing a lot of Ramatra, but Queen is Queen right now on the current patch. So live, this might be our first chance to see if she is as busted as everybody says she is, and, you know, if not, to what degree? If not, what counters her? What have these teams been practicing and what are they ready to come out here with? I'm looking forward to seeing that just for, you know, sheer like data analysis, meta analysis, just to see what this game ends up looking like.
We're entering totally unfamiliar territory at this rate. I mean, of course, we did have our fair share of Junker Queen gameplay back in the Jotes meta Summer Showdown era of the Overwatch League, but a lot of changes have come through to several of those heroes. So who knows if that's even what we're going to see come out today. And that's kind of the beauty of this event right here, is this is going to be our first taste of that high-level gameplay on this new patch, on this new meta, where these players, if they're coming out with a really strong Junker Queen player, for example, which we both know Mari and Manic are capable of playing, and how that's really going to tell the tale of the match that we have laid out.
Yeah, back in the day when we casted, you know, Mari, Senna, Panther on their other teams, they did play like a lot of Junker Queen. They had this ridiculous strategy where they would play Junker Queen Bastion, use the commanding shout, and then put the wheels down on the Bastion and just roll over everybody. I don't think that's going to fly anymore, and I also don't think that Jotes is going to fly anymore, because you gotta remember when that meta started to rise to prominence, that was before Kiriko got released, so the Suzu wasn't around to you know, counteract all the anti-heals that come out from the Rampage. So you're seeing, when you see Junker Queen played, now you're seeing the Kiriko being out there to counter her, or indeed to help enable her to get more damage in the front line, try and win out some of those duels, help support it. So, you know, a lot of Lucio, Kiriko, different DPS situation as well now in the Jotes. We're seeing a lot more Sombra Tracer. You know, dive DPS being played with Junker Queen, it's a viable strategy. It's what I'm kind of expecting to see, but again, we don't really have anything. This is kind of our litmus test for the meta right now.
Exactly. We can guess all we want to guess. We can predict. And we're gonna sound super cool if we get this right, which I have a feeling we're gonna be right. But we can never say for sure until those doors open and these players move out onto the battlefields of Oasis. And you know, starting on control maps, I think that's really going to that can always be iffy when you're putting these things to the test. Control maps, we call it the control map curse, where you'll have one team that will really benefit from this more chaotic gameplay style, where you're just running full force at each other and finding a death ball in the middle who will come out on top. And I think it's going to be very interesting, because we looked at these two rosters, right? We analyzed who their players are, what their accomplished are. They're relatively even. I think we looked at it and we're like, we don't really have an idea of who's going to be the one to come out on top today. And that is kind of a great thing. We're expecting this to be a close match. We're expecting this to be a fight down to that very last second, and it's all that pace. It all starts from map number 1. Who came out to play today?
I mean, and I gotta believe that both teams are the ones that came out to play. And by the way, I referenced it earlier when I said that Catboy Cafe, formerly the core of Wisp Luminaria, went out to Dart Monkeys. In the same round of that tournament, Whiplash went out to Starry Nights. Senna was a player on Starry Nights at the time, has ended up coming down to join Whiplash here. So, you know, they both went out around the same round. They both have about the same ceiling that we've seen so far. It's going to be up to them to surpass it, try and rely on some of that past synergy, or indeed new synergies that are being created, and try and take advantage of that to get ahead just to get ahead in life, honestly.
And that's kind of the big benefit with Overwatch. Like, we highlighted all the individual players, right? But what about their ability to play as a team? When you get to these high levels of gameplay, there's only so high that you can really climb. Those limits, they're tested, and they can certainly get up there. Like Senna, a huge hit scan player all by herself. But at the same time, you need to rely on your teammates to be able to back you up. Is your tank helping you take that space? Do you have the supports to actually be able to sustain your team through these long and vigorous battles? And that's my favorite thing about the higher levels of competitive Overwatch, is that you see all of these different things, all of these layers that are added onto the gameplay really put down to the test.
Yeah, sometimes there's a deadlift. Sometimes there's one player that just does all, and that's always great to see. You know, we get to see them pop off. We get to see them take center stage, be the star player, the center of attention. But more often than not, it's going to be coordinated team play, using the right abilities at the right time, knowing who's going in and when, knowing how we're going to play it. that ends up being the difference maker for a lot of these teams. So I'm kind of leaning a little bit towards Catboy Cafe here because they have that full, 5-person core that has proven to be strong in the past. Where again, Whiplash does have, that core of Senna, Mari, and Panther, but Panther is not in right now. They're actually, flashing Neiman right now with her on the key to go.
And I'm not too surprised to see that either, because you talked about how having Kiriko added into the game before Jotes was a thing. This is where Kiriko was created, to have the Suzu cancel out that abilities. This is what we were expecting to see, CB. And these teams on the Junker Queen, complete and total mirrors, meeting on the center of the Gardens of Oasis to battle this one out. Catboy Cafe wants to get up there first, but Sarah finds a headshot straight back whipped at her face. Whiplash taking that first blow, therefore securing the high ground, that superior positioning. Catboy, they're stuck in this small room, nowhere really to escape, and in the end, we're gonna have to forfeit this first capture.
I got most of the composition right, but I was definitely not expecting to see an Ashe Genji mirror, but you're showing the value of the Genji getting that early deflect headshot there onto Sarah, and yet, like you called out perfectly, Whiplash, they have control of the high ground. Everyone from Catboy Cafe is corralled into that tight little corner where you can just toss in the dynamite, have Mari go in, use the axe, just get all the damage, all the bleed that comes with that, stay alive. And now Catboy Cafe, they're gonna have to try and rotate through that same small choke right into Whiplash's hand and use dynamite.
And look how low Sarah got immediately! A headshot from Senna and just dealt with her. She didn't even have a chance to get a shot off, CB. Like, that's the second time we've been able to see that happen. Sarah has been that primary target, and Catboy Cafe, they can't push it in with that extra damage to follow up, so they're just forced to continue this neutral fight.
And this is another one of the situations where the Ashe is going to be beneficial for the team that holds the point, less so for the team that is trying to go in. An early pickoff onto the Genji is going to make things easy, but you still have the turret. You're just constantly pumping in damage with the dynamite and the headshots, and now Mari's going to go in and try and follow up on that.
Yeah, Mari's finally going to be able to get some room in, but Senna is yet to be dealt with. You literally said a turret. I don't think she misses. She might actually be a turret out there. Not an actual turret behind the game. This is going to be opening up for Catboy. They got the play. They have that Kitsune rush. They got Me-Man out of the backline. They got to turn it into more. Jacoby and Sarah finally able to get that follow-up. Catboy Cafe have guaranteed themselves some presence.
And that's just the difference for Milk and being able to have that Dragon Blade to follow up with inside of the Kitsune Rush. We saw the Kitsune Rush mirrors come out, but Whiplash didn't have any other ults built up yet that they could invest in. So, yeah, Nifman doing a little bit more work in the background, being able to build up that ability. Whiplash are going to have quite the 5-finger death punch of ultimates here, sans that Kitsune Rush, but this might be Whiplash's turn to take it. They're only going to have the bomb against the zero.
And the bomb is really early with the initiation from Sarah, which is great because Whiplash is suddenly scattered and spread out. Senna has to commit a bomb of her own to be able to create that space. Vanna gets traded off back to square one. Manic wanting to be the initiator ends up grabbing Senna off the back, but that's huge for Catboy Cafe because that 5-finger death punch you were talking about suddenly just lost a finger. You're down several. As a matter of fact, Catboy Cafe just gonna let them escape.
The one thing I do want to call out right now is Shush is surpassing Auburn in terms of that sound barrier charge, so another silent worker in the background getting a lot of work done. Additionally, Mini does now have that Dragon Blade, so Whiplash can invest, and they will have a counter to this rampage that Manic is threatening.
That Manic straight into the backline. Sound barrier out to be able to counter, but that's enough for Whiplash. Whiplash ends up losing Sarah because Mini got herself into that backline, found the follow-up, now with those sound barriers are out. Mari's trying to strike, but didn't find the surge that she was looking for. Ends up falling over. Catboy Cafe, they are on the verge of mounting this comeback here, but they don't got a lot of tools left in the tank.
That got really scary for Catboy Cafe there. Auburn gets the sound barrier at just the right moment before Mini can go ahead and slice that Lucio clean off the field. Despite Catboy Cafe losing one early, they're able to stabilize, but now we're in a pretty much complete neutral. You're gonna have Jacoby coming up on the Kitsune Rush, Neiman a little bit behind, but not really anything else. Whiplash has to win this essentially entirely in the neutral, so you're looking at Senna or Mini to try and get an early pickup here.
Senna's been able to do it before, and if we gotta see that comeback, it needs to be now. Down with Catboy Cafe and then Kitsune Rush on their side. The game is not gonna be an easy one. But Mari deals with their Junker Queen counterpart immediately off the bat. The comeback on the feet from Whiplash. Mari's aggression, punishing Manic's lack of positioning, and then guarantees himself no shot.
And that pick is everything because Manic got up to that rampage. Catboy Cafe Cafe could have just collapsed on top of that and won the round outright, but now Whiplash has a chance. They're able to hold on to the Kitsune Rush. They're able to, build up to the Bob, build up to the Rampage. They have time. They have to try and dip back and get the Kitty go back in the fight, and that's going to let Cafe Cafe get a point here. And now it's out of the stop.
The older players back in time, but Cowboy Cafe, they gotta come up with those win conditions. It has to be the fight that lasts longer. Allow that ult charge to build. So that 99 to 99 is about to hit. Senna with the only checkmark on the board, but Cowboy Cafe have managed to build up to some of their own. That Dragon Blade from Nickman is going to be big if this stall can manage to persist outward. Senna has yet to be dealt with, and neither has Mori. Into the backline they go. That Dragon Blade nowhere to be seen from Nickman. They've lost too many players. That hero play coming up just short. Able to grab one, grab two. It needs to be a lot more eliminations than that to make any subtle difference here. Whiplash managed to secure themselves, have to stabilize on the objective. Catboy Cafe, if they can get Manic back in the fight, they've been holding on to this Rampage the whole time. The sound barrier is there as well, that extra help. Whiplash needs Minnie to come up big, but Big Man beats them up into the sky. She won't be getting anywhere too far fast, as Big Man has said lights out. Whiplash are nowhere to be found on the objective. Catboy taking a close round one.
That is just kind of a failure to close out on the part of Whiplash. You saw it, like, it was the most clutch pick again. They take down Manic 1% away from her Rampage. It's just that Junker Queen diff, but they can't close it out, and they just waste too much time. Manic comes back with that Rampage. They have the sound barrier to follow it up. That's gonna make Minnie's Dragon Blade look blunt and dull. It's just gonna slice and slap up against like a wet noodle. Like, they just wasted too much time. They weren't able to close things out quick enough, and Catboy Cafe able to sneak one out from underneath them. That is huge. We're seeing Whiplash kind of get the better in this Junker Queen mirror, and if that keeps up, it's going to be risky for Catboy Cafe, but you still have to have that, you still have to have that ability to close things out, press the advantage, and put Catboy Cafe away. We're seeing a little bit of a compositional swap from Catboy Cafe. Sarah swapping over to the Tracer. So Senna's gonna have to be just that much more accurate with her shots from now on. So look for her to try and find a nice high ground position and maybe try and avoid a threat that is Sarah.
Oh! Senna was able to get onto the high ground though, and look where Sarah has her eyes. It's only been onto that Ashe, because they know that she's going to be the issue. Senna has caused so many problems for Catboy Cafe in this point. And of course, when you look at City Center here on Oasis, it's so much more spread out. High ground positioning is going to matter a lot, and just kind of buying your time. This point, because it's so large, you can kind of dance around this little centerpiece here that we're seeing Mari do.
It's so easy to stagger out for so long. It just wastes so much time.
And that's what they're going to continue to do. They're buying time, they're waiting for somebody to strike, and ideally, it's going to be Sarah or Senna to find those first blow, but everybody's too afraid to peek right now. Oh, there we go. Finally, Vinny says, I've had enough of this standstill. I'm going in. Dash, swipe. Managed to take out two. Catboy Cafe gonna have to go for a little bit of a reset here. I like the Tracer coming out of the pit, but my gosh, Minnie's having none of it.
Yeah, they just got tired of that whole hokey pokey they were doing there with their putting their Junker Queen in, taking her out, rotating all about the point. Minnie has enough, gonna go ahead and for that swift strike kill there, and then a clean one there onto Sarah. That was gorgeous there. Whiplash, they get first percentage here, but Catboy Cafe got a lot of work done. They're gonna have an early Kitsune rush, an early pulse bomb, and they can try and leverage those. Or Marge built up to that Rampage. Catboy Cafe have a window. If they realize that, they go in before it closes, they might be able to flip here.
They're gonna have to wait for a little bit longer though. Sarah's gotta get in a position to kind of pressure this high round. Or Mannequin just hit a beautiful knife from up top, displacing Senna. That is such a great positioning move there, because now that threat has been dealt with. Catboy Cafe, though, they need to start making decisive decisions here. There's that Kitsune rush. They've opened the door, but now they actually need to close it out. Follow through the back, because Mori is coming in with the ultimates to pull this out. And they actually got the Rampage off. Manic has gone down. The trades are coming through, but Senna's got herself back up on this high ground. Nobody has been able to contest this Ashe player or even have a chance of getting her down low, and that's the reason Whiplash, they're maintaining control.
I mean, of course nobody can contest her. Nobody's even looking at her. Everyone was trying to deal with the Kitsune rush and the bob down on the point that ended up claiming too many lives for Catboy Cafe to keep themselves up and going, so they're going to have to take a reset here, and now they're going to have a Rampage of their own that they might be able to flip in here with. But again, this is going to stagger out. We're looking at this getting to 99% at least.
Oh, at the very least, especially with McMahon going down there. Whiplash, all they have to do is just max the sound barrier, buy the time, push this down to about 1 fight territory, and this is a great situation for them to be in, especially since that Dragon Blade is coming out a little bit later than you would like to see. The Suzu's sound barrier, nothing dealt with. Manic already walking straight through the front line. Sarah on the follow-up. Mini's Blade came up with absolutely nothing. Not a good look for Whiplash, but they have plenty of time to come back in.
They aren't able to get to that 99%, instead 88, so, you know, still rolling doubles at least. I'm going to still call that a W there. Meeman ends up falling very early in that fight, so there is no Suzu on the point for them to cleanse out the Rampage. Manic goes in, and it's just all done but the crying from there. Mini nearly had a really great blade, but it wasn't able to get enough work done before too many members of Whiplash fell. And now they have to try and walk right into this. Great Suzu for the full combo.
Huge Suzu. Meeman giving their team another opportunity to push off the back of this Suzu and rush. That's exactly what Mini and Senna want to be able to work with. The flip looking to come through as Mari just crashes through Manic's head. And Catboy Cafe, they've been cleaned out of the ejected as soon as they seemingly got it. One more chance to get it back.
This time we're gonna get to 99%, assuredly. And Whiplash is gonna have Mari having that Rampage there for Catboy Cafe to go in on. They're gonna switch to the Doomfist just to try and get a touch here. McMahon has to be big with the blade. That's a huge early pickoff there. No more having to worry about Senna on the high ground when the blade comes out.
Not at all, but McMahon's the blade is just slicing nothing but air. Being hit with that Rampage 2 means no more Genji. On the battlefield, touches Jacoby, got that first opening pick. Now she's returned, Kitsune rush in hand. Manic has to play inside of it, get those accelerated cooldowns to actually make the Doomfist start to work here. The pressure onto Me-Man simply isn't enough. They can't find the target focus CB. The Junker Queen is simply too strong to be able to deal with. They're traded out with Jacoby falling because that support is simply cannot be there. Whiplash looking to close this one out and take it all the way to round number 3.
That was so much more clean from Whiplash. That's what I want to see from them. I want to see them be able to try and close these fights out, get those decisive picks at the right time, and be able to rebound despite losing an ult fight. Yeah, you had some of these fights where Catboy Cafe had a distinct ult advantage and got the early pickoffs there. But, you know, being able to bounce back and flip it that swiftly, only giving up 30% on City Center is insane. That is the decisiveness and the killer instinct that I want to keep seeing from this squad. We might be seeing a little bit of a switch up here. We might be seeing Mini swap over onto the Mei, which is curious, but if that is what they walk out with, I really like that for University. Being able to section off the enemy Junker Queen, that's going to be pretty big. I kind of like this. I want to see if Whiplash is able to make this one stick here. University, things are going to get a lot more tight, a lot more close quarters, a lot less staggery. So Whiplash, they do have the opportunity to continue to be that decisive and find those early pickoffs and, you know, close it out with the late ones too. And the big dynamite from Senna to build up to those bobs. So much faster than Sarah.
It's just been absolutely outpaced in that regard. And I think it's been one of the huge difference makers. As well as you mentioned having the Mei here, it's going to try to wall off the Junker Queen. This time isn't going to grab it. And McMahon actually ends up grabbing Senna with some stray shurikens. That's what Catboy Cafe needed to do. We're ready for that Mei ball, baited it out. Then they made their time to strike. We need to see this continued cohesion throughout the map, especially if Mini decides to stick with the Mei.
And if Mini decides to stick with the Mei, that might present a problem. It didn't get a whole lot of work done in that first fight there, so nowhere near that Blizzard where everyone else is doubling up on that ult charge there. You already see Catboy Cafe nearing a Dragon Blade. 60%, that's a lot of work being done by McMahon there. They're doing a phenomenal job on the Genji. And it also goes back to that early pickoff onto Senna. You can't be losing your heavy hitter that early.
Absolutely not. Senna, though, is coming back into this with a vengeance. Down goes Manic. McMahon wants to continue to find this pressure onto the backline. Was able to open it up last time, but they've lost too many players. That flank control is better up giving this point away.
Yeah, and that's just an easy fight. That's just an easy fight there. A couple of tactical resets there from Sarah and Jacoby. And again, you know, I say losing your heavy hitter. You can't really lose a heavier hitter than Manic on that Junker Queen, losing your tank there. And now it's kind of, the narrative's been kind of flipped. What I said about Mini being so far away from that Blizzard, now apply that to Manic being very far away from that Rampage. Whiplash, once they're able to build up to theirs, yeah, they're going to be able to strike blood first.
So big right now, but you're gonna have not even have the opportunity to use it because Manic is the first elimination to go down again. We questioned Mini's Mei. I say that is sufficient value to come out from those walls, and they're actually able to continue stacking the eliminations on top. Mini has looked stellar on this hero, and I want to see that kept up.
Yeah, and it's a great use of the Kitsune Rush, just a one fight ult win, or sorry, one ult fight win. That's stonks, all right? That's the ult economy 101. If you can win a fight like that, great. But speaking of ult economies, Catboy Cafe is starting to come up on one of their own. We saw how much work McMahon did with this blade. Let's see if they can, or sorry, to get this blade, let's see what they're able to do with the blade, because I gotta expect that's what's gonna be coming out here. Look for Shush to counter with that sound barrier.
And I'm seeing that Kitsune Rush out. You would think that would be the go sign. There it is. McMahon out looking for Senna. Perfectly timed sound barrier. Just to get him damage. Senna with the shutdown. That Dragon Blade, that hero play, nowhere to be found. Whiplash wanting to maintain that control, and might not be a one full ultimate win, but a 2 ultimate ain't too bad either.
And that's a lot of ults on the side of Catboy Cafe down the drain. They're finally going to have this rampage soon that they've been building up to the whole time, and it better be good. But they're going to be walking right into Mini's Blizzard here, so Jacoby, it kind of has to be, you know, Johnny on the spot with that Suzu there. And if they're not able to, then this might just be over. The Blizzard comes out early. There's the Suzu.
But there's no Manic! We're not even going to see that rampage in this round unless this goes down to a ridiculously long overtime. At least we get to see one from Mari, but that is all that they have written for this matchup. Whiplash have come back for the mini reverse sweep, taking away Oasis, and I gotta say, that was kind of, we highlighted Senna so much, right? We highlighted Senna, we came after Mini McMahon, but what about what Mari was doing in terms of the Junker Queen battle? Manic just wasn't able to get anything done that round just because of the amount of pressure that was applied by Mari.
Yeah, and like we said, we knew Mari had a strong Junker Queen coming into this, and so, you know, that's what we were looking for Whiplash. We were looking for them to come out with that really strong Junker Queen composition, and yeah, they do. It looks a little bit shaky there on University, but on Gardens, but on City Center and University, it looks super, super clean. And, you know, we flip things over and look at Manic. Sometimes the payoff isn't worth the build-up, and in this case, that is absolutely the case, because there was no payoff. We didn't get to see a rampage. It was just constantly Manic being dead out the gates every fight, the first one to die every time. When you're not alive, you're not getting work done, you're not building up to a rampage, you're not building up that rampage. What are we doing here? Like, what even is the purpose? If we can't make use of that huge, high-value ultimate like we see Mari being able to do here, like, what have you accomplished? You're seeing, like, Mari completely outclassing Manic in the Junker Queen mirror there in terms of damage, in terms of survivability as well.
Yeah. You see it even in the numbers itself. I mean, this is just something that Mari has been looking stronger on. I think the overall team play and McMahon able to come up with a lot of these key eliminations to open up these fights was a big part of the reason that Catboy Cafe made this round so close, but it was kind of a reoccurring theme that Manic wasn't able to keep up with Mari that whole time, really had to rely on their whole team to kind of back them up, be that extra boost of support to help them win that mirror match out, which looking at our next couple of matches, I don't really expect that composition to change too much, because what realistically are you looking to either A, counter that out, or are you just going to attempt to run the mirror and change some of these playstyle things up? Because how much of it really is dependent on what Whiplash is doing right versus what positioning errors are being made on the side of Catboy Cafe.
It also has a lot to do with what Catboy Cafe has been scrimming as well, because if they have been practicing this Junker Queen comp the same as Whiplash have, and it's not able to beat them in the mirror, have they practiced for a counter? Like, what is their other option here? It looks like the next map that they're going to try and take us to here is going to be Rialto. So we'll see, like, if they're able to best them on this. We might see more Junker Queen mirror here, but Rialto does kind of open the door for some other different tank compositions. We might see a Ramatra come out here, and that might be the answer if they're trying to just stand up against the Junker Queen and bully it with just the sheer presence that a Ramatra is able to hold. But is that what we're going to actually see, or is Junker Queen just too strong? And are they going to be forced to stick with this mirror?
We've been asking that question since before the match even started, and I think now, when we load in, that is when it's going to be answered, is if that swap is actually made up. The fact that Rialto was picked out, that does show that the change of pace wants to be kind of taken ahead, but at the same time, it doesn't really give any signals for Whiplash to swap up what they're doing. I mean, Senna, if you want her to dominate on the hit scan, I welcome you to Rialto. This is basically going to be Senna's playground. Just controlling these different high ground areas, these overpasses, that bridge that Rialto is notorious for. This is a sniper's dream if you want to play on this map, and I don't think there's going to be many complaints from Whiplash about this being the selection whatsoever. Catboy Cafe, realistically, they're the ones in the driver's seat here. They have elected to go on the attack, I believe, so they'll be the ones to kind of set that initial pace, get it as far as they possibly can, but if they can't really find that answer, then we're going to have to go back to see where can we even take the series from that point.
And like, you know, that's a very good question. Where can you take the series? We don't have to worry about that just yet. We just kind of have to focus on Rialto. And if, you know, Catboy Cafe are going to opt to be on the attacking first, I'm just going to go ahead and make a bold prediction and say that Senna's probably going to play Ashe, and she's probably going to be playing really far back, waiting for them to come into that one really wide open area with the trees in the middle there and just have a shooting gallery there. And meanwhile, we're going to have that same brawl going on between the tanks and the front line that Mari has consistently gotten the better of. So, you know, if you're able to support Mari and just let Senna be a supporting role, let her just pump in damage and headshots wherever they can be found, I think Mari is where your bread is buttered right now. You just keep, you know, letting her do what she's doing in the front line, and I think if you're good. You're going to come up aces.
Yeah. That's all you need to do, honestly. I mean, Mari's done such an incredible job in the front line that it doesn't even mean that Senna has to do anything half the time. But what is interesting here is they're not even gonna. Oh no, there we go. We're sticking with the Junker Queen. I got baited. I was gonna say. I was gonna question that just a little bit. But yeah, the Junker Queen, we're going back to that. But the switch ups in the DPS department and support really do intrigue me here.
Okay, maybe I was wrong about what Senna was gonna play, but this was also my second guess here was the Widowmaker. I think Widowmaker would have been a more hot take, but that's what she's going here with. I want to see what ends up happening with Mini on the Echo here, because that's kind of the outlying factor here. We've got, you know, a Mercy likely to pocket that Echo, so, you know, those two gonna be up in the sky, potentially a shooting gallery for Sarah, who has been pretty good with the hit scan play thus far. We'll see if that trend continues and if Mini ends up having to, you know, make a swap later on, or if they're able to find a ton of value. Meanwhile, Catboy Cafe, Diva is what we're going with. That's how we've opted to try and counter the Junker Queen here, but there's not really a whole lot of diveable targets that you can just go in on. You could kind of want to go in on Senna, but Mini gonna fall early, and Senna also gonna get a headshot. What?
Okay, well, who needs to dive when you can just hit shots and volleys from long range? I mean, that's probably the point here. What I'm thinking is that Manic's going to be more of a defensive diva, honestly, to help follow up on these eliminations, peel for the team, and just let Sarah have an absolute field day.
That is 5 kills right away for Catboy Cafe, and 4 of them were headshots. Everybody from Whiplash forgot they put magnets in their heads, apparently. Senna, put your head down, duck, cover.
Oh, no!
Stop letting Sarah get away with this. You too, Mini, don't you dare poke out. That's gonna be like an easy cap. Once they deal with Mari here, who doesn't have a whole lot of support right now. Sarah actually under a ton of threat.
Wow, but you got so much peel. You got Jacoby essentially holding Sarah's hand, which is going to help, but Senna's returned to the battle. The Resurrection coming up big. Those 2 eliminations are going to pay off, but Jacoby with a double on top of the other ones. Like, Jacoby's gone absolutely mad on the Zenyatta. I'm a little scared, CB.
It's a great hero play there from Senna at the end, but it's too little too late, and you can already see she wants to get out because this diva can just end her life at will if she really, really wants to, so not going to stick around, going to concede this high ground, and you can see Manic wants to take it, not going to let Whiplash have it for free. This is a place where Senna has the high ground advantage that overlooks that whole bridge, so if Whiplash are able to secure this high ground, it's going to be really difficult with the sights coming through, but if they're able to secure this high ground, they're sitting pretty here, but this is a blisteringly fast point A cap for Rialto.
It's zooming fast, and especially the fact that Whiplash aren't even going to have the chance to defend over that bridge. They relied so much on those long sight lines that now you're playing a little bit more close quarters, where Senna can easily be kind of captured upon if if McMahon's able to actually work the way into the backline here. Whiplash, they're struggling to hold on to just this corner. The pressure coming in from Manic means that Mari just has to back off. They're giving up so much space. They've essentially gotten the second objective down to 1 fight, which is ridiculous to say, knowing the nature of Rialto.
Yeah, there wasn't even a fight for it to get this far. It just kind of pushed this far up just by sheer force of, oh, we don't have any people. We're still snowballing and staggering from that first fight that we ended up throwing everybody down. Like, it's just kind of, you know, looking how far the cart is. You can forget about Whiplash trying to hold this high ground because they can't even secure it. You still have Manic up here being a nuisance. You still have the Zenyatta up here. You still have Sarah peeking around corners here that can clip any member of Whiplash if they poke their nose out just a little bit too far here. And Now Catboy Cafe can start to push in and try and take the staircase, and that will be their win condition.
And only essentially it takes here is that initiation. There's that Nano Boost coming out, but Senna and Biddy finally coming up big, winning out those DPS duos that Nano Boost isn't going to come up with a whole lot of anything. Catboy Cafe seeing their first step back of the map, and Whiplash needed to win this battle so darn badly.
Questionable self-destruct there from Manic, but I imagine that's going to be telegraphing a swap there. Senna with the hero play, getting that headshot onto Mickman there, that just turns the whole fight on its head, stun locks everybody from Catboy Cafe, and they all just fall like dominoes. And now Whiplash have something of a defense to mount here. Manic actually not swapping off the D.Va, so I'm curious to see what that self-destruct was for, what the end game was, if that was a fat finger, or if you know, there was a game plan for that one. But gonna have to build back up to another one to enact whatever that plan might be. Meanwhile, Whiplash, they've already claimed Jacoby's life, who had the Transcendence. That's huge. They could just go in with any other ultimates if they wanted to press this advantage.
Or they could just kind of wait it out. Well, okay, now you don't wait it out because
Time's
Sarah
up.
just took care of your Widowmaker. You waited too long. Now suddenly you're on an even playing field. Mickman's been holding on to this pulse bomb for a hot minute. Am's gonna hold it on for about another 20 seconds until they can return to that battle. This has been such a slow pace from where we started. Neither of these teams are playing aggressive. They're respecting these Widowmakers.
Yeah, like you said, Mickman is just diamond hands, holding total gang for life on this pulse bomb. Not gonna try and invest it because, you know, Senna can just take their head off at any given moment if she so feels like it, if she's not under enough pressure. And Catboy Cafe haven't been able to put enough pressure in the Nano Boost, though. That might be the go button.
No, it certainly is. Everybody's holding on in. Shush and Me-Man didn't even get the chance to use the ultimates. I mean, Me-Man did, but at that point, is it too late to be able to counter that out? It was a large investment coming in from the attackers, but one that certainly paid off in the long run. 3 minutes to finish out this final point of Rialto.
Someday Mickman will have to use this Pulse Bomb, but the good news is that Pulse Bomb is just kind of a throwaway ultimate anyway. By the time they use it, they'll, you know, build up to another one. It's just kind of whatever. Everyone else on the board, though, invested their ultimate, save for Senna, who did not quite have it. Looks like we are going to have a quick pause here. I'm going to finish breaking down that last fight. Everybody invests their ultimates. Curiously, Mari let that rampage rip towards the end there, and you know, the Transcendence was there to counter it. I'm also wondering what that was all about. Mari was still able to claim Auburn's life. The determination from Mari, if I'm gonna invest this ult, I'm going to kill someone. You love to see that, but you know, I'm curious as to why everybody decided to hit Q at the end of that fight there. It looks like we do have, it is gonna be a little bit of a pause, by the way. Mickman's internet did suddenly die there, so again, that might be why they were, again, diamond hands on that Pulse Bomb. So we may have to, you know, wait till the next fiscal year for that one to come around.
We'll cut Mickman some slack for this one. You guys can just hold on to that Pulse Bomb, and if they did end up DCing well, you don't have a Pulse Bomb anymore, which would be rather unfortunate. You'll have to go back around and build up a whole another one, which Mickman is totally capable of doing throughout this point.
That just sounds like one of my Pulse Bombs. Like you just like you just pretend it was me, and I just threw the Pulse Bomb like on the floor and died with it, and now I'm back in spawn.
You needed to reset, all right? You went in, you took a reset. You put a Pulse Bomb on the ground and didn't do much with it, but it's basically a long cooldown, all right? It is a long cooldown, but in the hands of these players that are so mechanically talented, it can mean the end of a fight just if you're able to manage a simple stick off the back of it. So it's going to be an adjustment once we're actually able to get back into that game. Something I do want to touch on, though, is when you were talking about the last couple fights, we've seen a little bit less coordination kind of between Whiplash and their players, and that's kind of been something that where we go back way to the beginning of the series, where we know that Catboy Cafe, they've played on the same team for a long time, and we do begin to question, how is that coordination really affecting them when they're playing this team?
It seems like there's a little bit of a coordination hiccup on both sides, to be quite honest, because for a very long time there, we were just sitting at that kind of stalemate with both teams kind of afraid to poke around the corner because the Widowmakers on either side might have chosen to decapitate them if they so felt like it. And no one really wanted to engage until we had the Kitsune Rush on one side and we had the Nano for the D.Va on the other side, and it was time to really go in. But all the time that it took to build up to that, and neither team really being able to find much of anything, goes to show that both of these squads still have a little bit more work to do in order to get to that full team cohesion. But like you said, from Whiplash, it's looking a little bit more shaky than it is for Catboy Cafe. Whiplash, they're trying to have to rely on just pure brute strength your talent from Mari and occasionally from Senna in order to get the job done here.
Yep, Mari's the one just to go full
There's
send
the
it,
pulse
but
bomb.
Senna, oof! Yeah, we did get to see the pulse bomb, but I think that Big Bang kind of blew themselves up on that one a little bit too. So we're
Team Rocket's blasting off again.
really did, honestly.
I mean, and it's a great headshot from Senna to just completely negate that ultimate there. Now Whiplash, they can dig their heels in and stop the cart from moving any further. They have the spawner's advantage here. They have a knife stuck into Sarah there if they try to, you know, maybe go for the pull there, get an early kill there. Just jockeying position, trying to make the best of Minnie's wall here.
The best of it, I mean, you can't really get much done with that. And now Catboy Cafe, they're gonna get a lot more space. We're down to another fight just to set this full point ahead. And Sarah made it a lot harder for Whiplash to be able to engage the wall, not coming up with a whole lot. Once again, Maury's been unable to chunk out, be that hero. Eventually, they're able to punish Magnic. But what it costs does it come at the focus fire for Catboy Cafe has been on point these last couple engagements. That's how that's gonna fare against Maury, who's just going absolutely ballistic in the backline, taking things into her own hands to shut this fight down.
The focus fire from Mari there is incredible. You could see she locked in on Jacoby, on that Kiriko, because you know the Kiriko's got the Suzu, and Mari had the Rampage. If she needed to use it, she needed to make sure that that Kiriko could not do anything about it. So taking that Kiriko down is everything. Turns out, she didn't even need to use it. Now she has it. Now there's like a Tsune Rush, Whiplash. They have just about anything under the sun they could want to try and hold this here.
And this is so big with only a minute left on the clock for them. The tides have really turned since from where we started. But all it's going to come down to is that initiation. Who's starting this one out? The Tsune Rush and Dragon Strike essentially layered on top of each other. While Mari is nowhere to go. She's trying to back off the whale. While rather more defensive, Catboy Cafe cannot get that use out of that Tsune Rush immediately. Everybody's just hiding around this corner, waiting for that moment to strike because Whiplash coming back in. It's getting frosty and chilly, but nobody can get healed. The Suzu saves some people, but not everyone. Maury's still sitting incredibly low. The sound barrier needed to keep Catboy, give them some extra juice in the tank, keep it fighting, and after all the dust is settled, we have come back to square one. 12 seconds remaining, a lot of these resources gone, but somehow, some way, Whiplash managed to hold on to the sound barrier, to that Rampage. Maury's still waiting to pull that one out, and she might not even need it at this rate. Holt saving it for Overwatch 3, honestly. Pulling it all the way at the very end of this map. Catboy Cafe, they got close, but couldn't not quite get that full completion with that momentum they gained in the initial parts. Rialto.
Mari does not need the Rampage. She is on a Rampage here. The Wrecking Ball from Manic isn't even able to get the touch there. Yeah, again, okay, Mari finally pulled the trigger on that Rampage and it all gets Suzu, but it doesn't matter because she's already killed two. And then she's just gonna go back, find the kill onto Jacoby there. Huge plays coming out here from everybody on Whiplash to be able to hold it there. And again, you know, they managed from how instantaneously Catboy Cafe were able to capture the first point here. To be able to prevent the full cap is everything. This gives Whiplash a win condition. This gives them a golden box of victory that they can reach for here.
Rialto, though, I just want to say, is arguably Rialto Point C is one of the hardest points to actually complete in the game. So the fact that they got that close is still pretty darn good for Catboy Cafe. We questioned how they would be able to set the pace. Well, there you go. The Diva worked out for them initially on the attack. Once they swapped with the Junker Queen, they started to hit that roadblock. So seeing Manic return to the Diva here, I'm not too all surprised to see this return to the battlefield, but how do you really think this is going to work out on the defense, especially with Whiplash keeping with the same pace they've been going?
I mean, you know, if you're going to play this Diva, you do have to try and play her like a dive hero. You have to try and find a target to go in and just pounce on. Use your micro missiles, use all your damage, but the only person on the side of Whiplash that you realistically could have done that to the whole time was Senna, and we only really saw that happen when they had the nano boost to back it up. You're not really seeing McMahon being able to engage at the same time as Manic, so there's this kind of like, you know, disjointedness between the front line, the two-pronged attack that we need to see from them, and it's mostly been on Sarah finding headshots, or indeed everybody finding headshots all at once, just magically like we saw on their attack. But you know, Whiplash, they have the advantage as far as the tank composition goes. I don't have a lot of faith in Catboy Cafe's ability to play this Diva to its full strength, you know, with the Widowmaker and with this this particular backline, the Zen Ana.
Yeah. It's very interesting how this can work out. Like, there's so much pressure on Sarah just to land these shots here to beat Senna out in the 1v1s, not allow Mini to really get their hands on Jacoby and Auburn, as they're just going to try to live in the backline together. I mean, Whiplash, they've gotten around this first corner. That's kind of the first goal you want to see, but we're returning to that neutral territory. It's the battle of the Widowmakers. Nobody wants to peek either Senna or Sarah. You're afraid of them, afraid of what they're able to do. But Sarah gets hit with that first shot, and Senna will find that deadly blow. You cannot ask for a better pickoff than onto Auburn. The rest are going to just fall over like dominoes. And Whiplash, they're seeing the same speed run that Capo Cafe were pull out.
You said no one wants to peek the Widows. They're afraid of what they might do. They gave each other a taste, but then Senna gave Auburn a full course buffet and then passed it on down the line, and the rest of Whiplash able to follow through. That's, like you said, they're matching Catboy Cafe's pace right now, but look at how far Mari's playing up right now, along with Mini. Everybody except for the Kiriko right now is pushed up to control this high ground. This is extremely important because, again, you don't want to let the enemy Widow get set up here as you're trying to get that cart over the bridge. That is just a shooting gallery. You would just be giving Sarah a game of duck hunt right now, and that's the last thing you want. Senna, on the other hand, is definitely going hunting.
Yeah, Senna went hunting, came up with McMahon, but fired right back. The advantage of having the Mercy, though, we're back to that starting point. 4v5, the advantage Whiplash has is going to be huge, but Mari still has to bunker kind of behind this payload here. You don't got nearly enough health as a Diva Mech does, but the sights are going to make it very risky, but it's Me-Man that actually ended up going down there. So Senna doesn't really have that extra support. Whiplash don't really want to take that aggressive angle, recognizing they don't have that same support to kind of keep him up in that battle, and we're going to see ourselves in this exact same neutral position.
And Sarah is doing a phenomenal job, not only of finding these pickoffs, but of just deterring Mini from going in on Jacoby and Auburn, because a full 5-course sticky bomb onto Jacoby and a focusing thing to follow it up, that would either just be a dead Zenyatta, a Force Transcendence, or a Force Nano Boost, and any of those, you consider those a win. It comes through now, but Mini has to give their life for it.
He does, but you could argue Jacoby's going to be very impactful, especially if he manages to get the Ana here too. They do end up losing the tank, and the resurrection comes through. Zosh, I'm sorry, caves up with 2. All right, but I'm totally here for the Glock gameplay. I want to see more of it, because Whiplash are suddenly able to get themselves in the fight, and you have a chance about capturing this objective out. We'll see McMahon get that contest with Diamond Hands, the pulse bomb once more. It's got to come out here. You need a win condition, and I want to see it now. Nano Boost even out of the Tracer, but Senna says no! Nothing to come out from McMahon. Whiplash goes all the way up, taking the fight to Catboy Cafe. They're not going to be able to keep this contest up for too much longer. Look at the timing they're going to have here, as Whiplash have just said, this is our point.
This is Senna's point. I was about to say that she's having an easier time hitting the Tracer than the enemy Widow, but she does finally stick it to Sarah there. And Sarah not even going to take the duel anymore, doesn't have the space anymore now that we're on point C to be effective on the Widow. Going to be forced to swap over to the Ashe. Senna's going to have the sights here. Whiplash doesn't really have a whole lot else. But what they do have is 4 minutes to not even complete the map.
And that is such a big thing, especially if Senna keeps doing what she's been doing. This is going to be much shorter than that 4-minute timing allows. One thing here is that Mari is still on the Doom Fist, but that doesn't seem to matter because Mini and Senna have got this covered. This DPS duo is straight up carrying the point for Whiplash right now. There is nothing that Catboy Cafe can even do. They can't poke their heads around the corner. I don't even think that they're going to be able to touch here.
There's going to have to be a swap to the Wrecking Ball to try and get a touch here, but they're not going to have any ults. They have to just get picks here. And yeah, Mari going to go in with all the displacement on the Doomfist, just keep punching everybody from Catboy Cafe away from the point. Says, no, this is our point. It's our time to cap it. Mana going to go ahead and try and spin to win here for a little bit, but Sarah killing Mari there, that might be enough.
That might just be enough, but a lot of that swap onto the Wrecking Ball, how much does that reset the ultimate economy? I mean, Whiplash, they're going to go back in with the Junker Queen here. They got plenty of time to spare. Catboy Cafe, they're holding on for dear life.
This is a little bit dangerous, though, because the longer you wait, the more time Catboy Cafe has to mount up in defense here. They can start to build up to some of these ultimates. That was your chance, Whiplash, to close that out, because they had nothing. Now they don't have an Ashe, though, so maybe you've just found another chance where there was not one.
This is huge. Pocket and Echo that Mini has been able to absolutely rock. It's been an issue for Catboy Cafe. They can't get anything done at all because Mini comes up with another one again. The contestant is suddenly becoming less and less for Catboy Cafe. They set the bar high. They thought they gave themselves themselves a good chance, and they're starting to lose that grip. They lost the one ultimate. They had hope of coming back in to pull this one out. Auburn has the Soundbird to help sustain by the time. Those spawns are just right there, but the pieces continue to fall apart. Whiplash taking Rialto all the way up to match point.
I'm gonna go ahead and call out Shush as being the hero for that last fight there. There's a moment
Honestly.
where Mini kind of overcommits and tries to go into the enemy spawn, and we saw the lost duel to the enemy Lucio there, Auburn being able to get the better of Mini on that exchange. But Shush, she pops the Valkyrie and then is able to just go in and get the res, and then you have the Echo coming back in from behind, whereas you still have Mari and you still have Senna in the front line just pumping in all of the damage, and at that point, Catboy Cafe, they're just kind of locked in a no-win situation where you've got a Mercy Pocketed Echo behind you, a Widow and a Junker Queen just pumping in all the hurt in front of you, and you're just in the contraption, dog. You're in the device. You're just stuck in there.
You really know where to go. And you mentioned Shush. I want to highlight this. For anybody who thinks that Mercy or this portal doesn't have an impact on the game, watch this map. Watch what Shush was able to accomplish on the Lucio, the Ana, the Mercy. So many different heroes that this player touched. But this Mercy, that last fight, you had the resurrections. You had several eliminations come through. I mean, both the aggressive initiation as well as these passive effects are just crazy from the Mercy player. And it really empowered the rest of Whiplash to continue that point, get it all the way through, and complete the map. I mean, if you don't want to be standing on this point right now, this is huge. This is huge for Whiplash to come out. Set it at a 2-0 deficit, because these are things that are not easy to come back from, both from a gameplay standpoint, but also from a mental point.
Yeah, we highlighted early on the coordination and the the pre-existing synergy that Catboy Cafe had, going up against just the raw talent that Whiplash has. And Whiplash, every single member of their team right now is firing on all cylinders. We're seeing Senna hit all the headshots she needs to hit. We're seeing Mini going in and finding the pickoffs, finding the value of this Mercy Pocketed Echo pick here, and we're definitely seeing a tank differential. Mari is consistently getting the better of Manic, and if that keeps up, how do you coordinate your way out of that problem? How do you coordinate your way around that? Surely there is a way to do it, and they will have another map to try and figure that out, crack that particular equation. But sometimes someone just clicks on your head and there's nothing you can do about it. Whiplash found out about that the hard way on the first point, but then they took that lesson to heart, reverse engineered it to, apply it directly to Senna, and the rest is history. Whiplash take Rialto in pretty decisive fashion there with time to spare. They look really good right now. It's going to be tough to stop the momentum.
It truly is. I mean, momentum carries so much weight in the game of Overwatch, or really any other game, to be honest with you. I mean, this is something that Whiplash, they're starting to gain that confidence. They're feeling good about how they're performing. They're getting consistently the better end of that tank battle. Senna and Mini, for the most part on the last maps, they were able to shut down McMahon and Sarah. Other than a few highlight moments, this has just been the point of Whiplash. Their confidence is starting to grow and grow, and it really does come to show in the way that the game is being played. And that does make me start to wonder, is this third map, we wanted to see the change up in the tank department. We knew that Manic wasn't being able to really match what Mari was able to do. You have the opportunity to select the map in your favor. The Diva wasn't the answer. Do they just go back to the mirror? I feel like that honestly started to look better for them.
Yeah, I mean, they did have a better shot at the mirror there, and maybe playing defense first might try and favor them. We'll have to see. It looks like they're going to go ahead and pick Blizzard World, so I'm kind of expecting them... To me, it feels like they're trying to put their eggs in the Sarah basket and try and give Sarah some room to click on heads. But as far as the tank line goes, this also feels like another position where they want to try and play Diva, and it didn't work out too well because, again, the comps that Whiplash are playing, there's no one that the Diva can safely dive, and there's not really a way around that issue, If your only goal is just to kill Senna and you're not able to consistently do that, then for what reason are you playing that hero? And it looks like in this situation, they are indeed going for the mirror. They're coming out here with the Junker Queen. So this is also scary for other reasons, and those reasons are Mari is on the other team.
That's a reason to be scared. I can agree with that. I'd be pretty scared if I saw Mari running it down with the queen. I will certainly run away, go sit in my timeout corner. I don't want to look at that at all. Catboy Cafe, they're going to do their best to try to match this up. This is the map. You want Sarah and McMahon to be the ones to perform. I mean, Whiplash here, they're not changing anything up. The one difference here is going to be Senna on that Widowmaker.
McMahon doesn't have a Mercy, though, so they cannot be bailed out if Senna just hits a random headshot here. Let's see if that's what she does, and there are no heads to present themselves. Just a couple of balloons. Senna gonna come and ruin your birthday party. That just is what it is, but, you know, it's a lot better than losing somebody's head here. So be on the lookout for McMahon in here to see if that duel between McMahon and Senna ends up bearing any fruit for either side.
This DPS play, like, there's just so much reliance on them to get these things done, because you know that Senna is the ability to just collect these heads out of nowhere. Widowmaker's gonna win a 1v1 against Ashe like 9 times out of 10, and there goes another head, courtesy of the sniper. Senna has just been on another level today, CB.
Yeah, and this is, again, kind of a compositional thing. Like, I criticize the diva pick, but I also kind of like the idea that maybe you just try to put some pressure onto Senna, or maybe you try to put some pressure onto the backline, because Mari is still winning this frontline 1v1. If you're putting all of your eggs into that basket and it's not coming up with anything good for you, then you have to try and find another way of winning. Find a dive target and isolate them, because just letting Senna have all this range to constantly click heads means that she will continue to click heads. So pick a battle that you can win. Currently, Catboy Cafe are picking 2 battles, and they're not winning either of them.
They got to figure out where they need to focus their resources, because if you're splitting them up so much like they're doing now, they're not going to win either one. I mean, Manic's already so low. Sarah goes down, and Manic to follow. I mean, granted, they do win one of the battles. They got Senna out of the fight, but they've lost the front line, and in the end, that's going to be the one to lose them the war.
I feel like McMahon heard me there, and they just went all in on Senna there. And, you know, good job. Okay, you dislodged Senna, but again, that's only one piece of this, you know, 5-person roster on the side of Whiplash that, again, all of them are playing up to their ceiling right now. It's really hard to stop the momentum. 4.5 minutes, and the cart is threatening to go into this, you know, one-fight situation here, where Catboy Cafe are only really realistically going to have to rely on the spawn advantage to try and hold here.
This is really your only option. I mean, especially because Sarah is not having fun against Senna. These shots just raining down from above. She can't even find an opportunity to peek her head out. McMahon, yeah, gonna chuck a couple sticky bombs their way, start marching their way up to the high ground with the Junker Queen. But who is your target? Who are you looking at? There's nobody to focus down. You don't have the space provided in that 1v1. McMahon's gonna lose the duplicate form here, hanging on for dear life. Wants to get up to that rampage, won't have the opportunity to do so, and doesn't stay alive in the process. This is Whiplash coming back, pulling that heel was absolutely insane. They backed off, waited for the moment to strike around Senna to hit that golden ticket of a shot, and here they are, snowballing it to another victory, claiming the second point of Prison World with a whopping 5 minutes to walk through the rest of the point.
I like McMahon in that previous fight there saying, all right, Mari, you've been winning the Junker Queen 1v1. How about a Junker Queen 2v1? Oh, she wins those too. Okay. Yeah, just forces McMahon out of the duplicate. Me-Man's there to clean up the kill there, and everyone else from Catboy Cafe, like, they're already too deep in. They have to try and invest, and they have to try and pull something out of the hat there, but yeah, no, they just lose their heads over it. Whiplash, they're finding the headshots, they're finding the kills, they're keeping the snowball rolling, and Senna is at the forefront of that snowball. She's running right over Sarah currently.
Sarah, I mean, Minnie's taking it in their hands at the 1v1, but she is able to escape safe and sound. Senna still kind of holding this backline down, as Whiplash have actually managed to get halfway through the points here, which isn't too terribly bad either. Catboy Cafe, they're going to have the win condition, but they're playing in such a small, concise room, and they don't have a choice with how well the DPS duo has been performing on Whiplash.
I don't know if I agree with holding here. I'm not sure what Catboy Cafe is doing there, but get them out of there. Like, Whiplash, they're able to invest the sound barrier, keep this fight going. There's a great pull spot.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Catboy Cafe have gotten absolutely nothing from this defensive hold. Sure, they had access to the Mega, kinda, whenever Minnie wasn't zipping in and out of there and just taking it from them, but they got essentially nothing from that fight. Whiplash had the resources to just win that fight outright, and now they keep the cart going, and we're threatening to get another full cap here for Whiplash with time in the bank. Senna has the sight, so now you don't even have the element of surprise out of the spawn from Catboy Cafe.
Not at all. I mean, they're just gonna have to run it down with the sound barrier. That's the only way you can guarantee not getting one tap by the Widowmaker who's set up. We can saw that Sarah was kind of flicking in the backline. Hunting has the pulse bomb in hand, and Senna in the sightlines of the target. The peel there from Me-Man and Shush is going to be plenty for the Widowmaker. Can be fighting for another day, but not until Sarah has had enough triple blade into the backline just to deal with them. That is the threat the Widowmaker has been. Catboy Cafe finally finding some stable ground to put down under their feet, but is it really going to be enough in the coming fights with Whiplash making the adjustments?
I mean, not just stable ground, they might have struck bedrock there because they didn't even have to use the sound barrier to get that hold there.
No.
And, you know, they didn't have any other ultimates at the time to invest, so now they do. And now they can invest this and keep this snowball going and bleed the time out. You force Senna off the Widowmaker. She now has to be on the Ashe, so she's going to be susceptible to this Dragon Blade. Shush does not have a sound barrier to counter it, so McMahon could just guarantee Catboy Cafe at least one fight win here if this blade is good.
Catboy Cafe, they want to do it, but look what happened again! Manic has gotten in a terrible situation, had to force his sound barrier out, but Mari gets trapped in the small room! Oh, that is not what you want to see from the Rampage. The backline had already gone down in the first place, just McMahon doing McMahon things, but in the end, Whiplash, wow!
What was that Junker Queen play there? You see, yeah, Manic observing the scene of the crime where she and Mari just kind of went head-to-head, and Mari was forced to use the Rampage. Catboy Cafe, they used the sound barrier, but McMahon was finding picks without even using the Dragon Blade, and once again, Shush is still nowhere near her sound barrier. So again, McMahon can still get a free fight win here. Me-Man with the Suzu might be able to counter it a little bit, but we're gonna go ahead and go for an early invest here.
So going in, no offer in the fight. McMahon has to come up with at least one to even it out. They get Mari, perfect elimination to go through. But Manic by tragedy! No, not again! This Rampage just gotta take their own benefit. Somehow Minnie got hit by that. I don't even know how that happens. But Catboy are gonna hang on with his skin of their teeth.
Catboy have no business being this solid on defense right now.
No.
That Rampage had no business finding any kills there. Whiplash, they're down to a minute, and they only realistically have the bomb right now. If this fight goes long, which it probably will, Minnie and Shush can build up their ultimates, and they can brute force this through, but you were looking at a situation where they would have maybe 3.5 minutes, versus now they're going to be lucky to have any time at all.
Just coming down to the wire here. Senna is going to be the one to initiate it. And it actually gets McMahon out of the battle. That is huge to come in because now Minnie has managed to build up to this Dragon Blade and pull it out. No Manic standing in their path. Sound Fury piled up. No touch to be seen from Catboy Cafe. Whiplash, they started with 5 minutes. They finished with 28 seconds. That should not have been the case. Granted, they got the finish, but Whiplash really started to struggle, hit a road bump, or rather Catboy Cafe started to improve.
I could see, like, I know Senna enough to know that she wanted to BM there, but realized that it was against, yeah, it was not a sportsmanlike thing to do, changed her mind at the midnight hour and was like, I'll just, let my silence speak volumes there. And, you can kind of see in the one fight that they win, it is them going all in on Senna, and then, if they're able to take out Senna early in a fight, or if they're able to take down Mari early in a fight, Catboy Cafe are able to get their feet underneath them and start to walk and then start to run. It took them a while to get cooking there, but being able to bleed that much time off of Whiplash is huge. Because again, like Whiplash, we're looking at having 3+ minutes. Now they don't even have a minute. So Catboy Cafe, if they finish, both teams are going to get an OT. So this is no longer like a surefire thing for Whiplash. Even if Catboy Cafe finish an OT, again, we're going to get extra innings here.
Oh, we certainly are. I think that Catboy Cafe,
okay,
if they can...
Stop Me-Man, stop it. You're okay.
Oh.
You and Senna both ruining birthday parties. Get out of here. Who invited you?
They're the real party poopers out here, CB. We're not allowed to have any fun. We can't see the colorful balloons. It's going to be the stormy, rainy ground. That is Blizzard World. Who wants to go to the amusement park on a rainy day? Not me.
Those 3 balloons back there are my last 3 remaining brain cells after some of those rampages that they used at the end there. We're seeing, again, okay, no change-ups here, but we, again, have Sarah on the Tracer, Senna on the Ashe. We'll see if Senna can consistently find these headshots here. And, again, we kind of have to go back to the JQ mirror. Mari versus Manic. Can Manic do enough to keep Mari at bay?
Manic, we gotta see Manic starting to come up with a little bit more. Or you could just run over Senna in the backline, which is going to be big, but you also let Mari walk straight into yours. So no Jacoby or McMahon to come up with this eliminations, and I think that's going to be the difference maker here. As you mentioned that there's more than one issue that led way past Senna.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is kind of the unfortunate reality of being a DPS player. If you're Senna, you're completely expendable there. Being able to find Jacoby is so much bigger for Whiplash than losing Senna. I will trade a DPS player for support anytime, because that means that the tank no longer has any legs to stand on, and we can just kick what little foundation they have out from underneath them and continue to dominate in this Junker Queen mirror. Mari is still ahead, is ahead in the ult charge, and, you know, we haven't really seen Manic get much ground here.
No, Manic's been able to contest the corner at the very least, but even then, Senna's just been chunking them down, which will be a little bit different now that she's on the Tracer here. She's more adding that additional pressure onto Sarah. Senna just rolls right through, and at the recall to even get out safely with nothing left. And this is Whiplash just showing that these are the cards they can play. They are a top-tier team, and Mari, you know, we'll ignore what happened in the previous Rampage, and we'll just look at that one instead, because that was certainly much better.
And the fact that she built up to it so quickly mean that Catboy Cafe had nothing to counter it. They were just completely at the mercy of it. I don't even know if Jacoby was able to use a Suzu there, or if it just wasn't available, or it didn't hit people, because everyone from Catboy Cafe collapsed far too quickly for me to even, you know, point out if it got used there. You know, they just get completely caught with their pants down. And now Whiplash, they have the other 4 ultimates about to be online here. Actually, 3 of them. Mini's going to go from the Dragon Blade, but they can kick this off and keep this going.
You know, they're walking straight in that Kitsune rush. Mari is not looking like a shotgun out there, more like an SMG, if I have to say so. Catboy Cafe already lost their Ash. Manic wants to turn this one around. I mean, you got the sound barrier as a bit of a buffer room. You don't come with anything with the Rampage, and I mean, you'll totally take the trade out for the ultimates, but in the end, Whiplash arguably still in control.
I don't know if I like trading out that Rampage there. Manic goes in and just finds a smoke bomb. Everybody from Whiplash dips at. Now McMahon's gonna have to go over the Dragon Blade, but who do you go for?
And you're looking for the opposing Genji, but only hits the deep like the Dragon Blade comes up with nothing. With that sound barrier out, we should have gotten at least one elimination on the board there. Cafe, yeah, they're gonna get some presence on the point, but Whiplash, they're sitting, they're waiting for that moment to re-engage. They have so much to work with, assuming they're actually gonna commit onto this objective. The Bob is out from Sarah, adding that 6th man advantage to the point, but Mini has a lot more in mind, ends up having to run away with just 50 health remaining. That pressure from Catboy Cafe has turned out to be a lot, but it was an expensive fight win for them to go through.
Great sound barrier. The key there, though, was the fact that they were able to kill Mari before she was able to pull the trigger on that Rampage, or potentially that they made it too costly to where she thought twice about trying to invest it. But regardless, have that been invested after the sound barrier had expired from Auburn, that would have been a quick and easy fight win for Whiplash. But now Catboy Cafe can start to run a little bit. They're gonna have to try and contest this high ground here, so we'll see what ends up happening with this first Mari Rampage. But now that we've actually gotten the cart rolling, Catboy Cafe can really start to cook here.
Catboy Cafe finally got that ground going, but they don't got the high ground. They got the little path going around, which Mari's just gonna drop straight down onto, which may have been a mistake because the supports weren't ready in time. Maybe a slight communication error to come through, because Catboy Cafe, they just pounced right on top of that. No tank in their path. They're gonna keep rolling.
And again, Mari does not get a chance to use the Rampage. She dies with the ult yet again, and Catboy Cafe, now we're in a situation where they do have to win this one staggered fight. They're not gonna have a Lucio, though. Senna throws that particular spanner into the works, and now, yeah, Whiplash are pretty safe now with the spawn advantage, coupled with the fact that Auburn's gone. But we're gonna have both Rampages invested.
Both Rampages, but Mari's is certainly larger. I question if Manic's decision once again on that ultimate usage. I mean, that's not the first time we've seen that happen.
I mean, I kind of question both, because I feel like you could have bled more time off the clock if you're Whiplash, but putting that fight to bed and forcing a reset out of Catboy Cafe is still really good, because they invest their Rampage as well, so now they don't really have any tools to try and, you know, force this in. They're gonna have to, again, rely on Sarah getting an early pickoff here, or McMahon just catching Senna sleeping.
You know, that works too. I mean, how often do you see that happen? Not a lot. I mean, Senna will be back pretty quickly. So Catboy, they gotta get in there. They gotta do it now. But Whiplash, they were ready, sitting and waiting for Sarah to peek their head around the corner. Suddenly, Senna's back in the fight. You're in a 4v5 scenario. And Whiplash, they have that advantage, especially because of the spawns. Nice stick on to Manic to end this one out. It turned out to be a little bit more costly of an engagement than you would have liked to see, though.
Yeah, quite costly. They're able to hold on to the sound barrier, and they're going to have a rampage very soon. Catboy Cafe, though, if they use this this Dragon Blade before that rampage comes up, and they're able to somehow shut down the sound barrier, they can push this the last little bit. But I think Whiplash are coming up on just enough to be able to hold this. If you're Catboy Cafe, you're going to need a latte more than you currently do.
And it's gotta be starting with that Dragon Blade. McMahon wants to go through, but can't chew on that sound barrier health to really get any significant damage done. Mori comes back in, Rampage in tow. This is the Junker Queen that has been dominating the lobby. Manic has not been able to put up the same amount of power, and it shows here. 10 seconds remaining on the clock for Catboy Cafe to get any meterage, and there's no players really in sight right now.
Manic does not make the swap over to the Wrecking Ball. Oh, they were banking on Auburn being able to go in there with the touch, but Auburn just gets clipped on the way in, can't get there, and Whiplash are going to 3-0 this. The power of just being that damn good on the Junker Queen carries them the rest of the way.
Yep.
And, you know, take nothing away from the rest of the squad here, but, I mean, I only got one option for MVP personally. I don't know if you agree, but it's got to be Mari, who has just been the difference. It was a Junker Queen difference through and through, and the fact that there was nothing that Manic could play that could counteract the Junker Queen. The fact that she was constantly getting the better of the Junker Queen mirror, the fact that Manic's Diva didn't really have, like, the proper follow-up. Or when it did, Senna was just clicking on Sarah's head or McMahon's head whenever they tried to go in on the Tracer. Like, you know, what do you do when, like, you're a Diva and your only flanker is already, like, lying prone on the floor because Senna got to them before you could?
Essentially, I mean, this is just kind of, that's how it panned out. I mean, if you were saying, we said at the beginning of the series that we thought this could be a team. You're going to put all of your eggs into the basket of Senna. Let her be the one to take these fights, to really be the difference maker. But even then, it was more Mori than anything. As soon as Seven went down, she was expendable. Mori swooped right in, wiped the whole team, and suddenly they were able to keep that going. And this is going to be the moving on to that quarterfinals matchup, CB. And it's definitely a squad to be scared of. Is I have a feeling that what this meta, this composition turns out to be, this is going to be very similar across the board of the rest of these squads.
In a Junker Queen meta, yeah, Mari is definitely one that you're going to have to watch out for, and anyone that is flanking her is going to be just as deadly, just as much of a threat, and we saw that here today from Whiplash. I mean, someone has to have a really strong Junker Queen counter comp in their back pocket, or a somehow better Junker Queen, maybe a little bit fewer ults just to try and get out of a room. You know, being put in that situation a little bit less often would be ideal, but it's kind of hard to imagine that there are many better Junker Queens in this tournament right now than Mari. So that's going to be the spearhead for Whiplash. That's going to be the one to beat, the one that you have to take down. And the more resources that they're able to pour into her and the more she's able to get away with, the more Senna is going to be able to have big plays like that. The more Mini is going to be able to go in and just melt your backline with the sticky bombs. Phenomenal play across the board from Whiplash, but Mari is everything right now.
Mari is Mari. Mari went crazy this round, and it seriously showed. I mean, it bought so much space for the rest of Whiplash to really get done what they needed to, and it got them a swift 3-0. I know that I said at the beginning that I expected this to be close, and I think that it was close to an extent, but Whiplash, they had that star power coming in, and it was just not, it couldn't be countered. There were just some 1v1 matchups that weren't won, the adjustments weren't made so that you would have an advantage in that 1v1, or if you weren't even taking it that way. So those individual matchups, they were won for Whiplash, and in the end, that is going to lead them to win the battle, and in the end, win the war of the day. So they have managed to knock their opponents, Catboy Cafe, out of the tournament. Whiplash will be moving on forwards into those quarterfinal matchups.
Yeah, Senna definitely had her one-shot energy choose ready to go. All the one-shot kills she was able to find, but again, good. I do want to see if we can get an interview here with Mari, the star of the show for me. She was phenomenal. Very sad to see Catboy Cafe getting knocked out so quickly, but I mean, Whiplash, they definitely earned this. They definitely deserve it. And again, we're going to go ahead and throw it to a quick little break here. We'll be right back with an interview. Don't go anywhere.
Hello? Hello? Hi. Thank you. I think so. Either Trailblazers or the first qualifier or both. I did at one point, yeah.
And welcome back to the Calling All Heroes minor event. We've wrapped up our first match in the round of 16. Whiplash managed to take a 3-0 over Catboy Cafe. The 8th seed will be moving on to the round of 8 moving forwards. But before we get to hear any more about that, we actually have the opportunity to talk to Mari, the Junker Clean Warlord, from what we just saw in the last match. And I gotta say, CB and I were just huge fans of what we were able to accomplish out on the tank. How are you feeling after such a crazy win?
I think I have a bit of adrenaline right now. I feel like I was more nervous than I should have been. But I don't know.
You didn't look nervous at all.
Not at all.
That's kind of surprising. No, I felt the nerves for the first time ever. I don't know. It's I don't know. I came in, played my game, hit my knives. It's whatever.
You could have fooled me because you did not look nervous at all. You were definitely hitting those knives. And let's talk a little bit about Junker Queen because Tiny and I have casted you before in in Trailblazers. We know that you had a sick Junker Queen, and we know that Junker Queen is really dominant right now in this current patch. So when we saw that we were casting Whiplash today, we were like, all right, I failed calculus, but I can put 2 and 2 together. Like, I know she's going to be sick again today. Are there any other tank players, though, in this tournament that you might be a little worried about facing or that you might be, looking forward to facing in a JQ meta?
Worried about... I don't know. I think I can... I think on a good day, I can step up to probably all of them. But worried about... I think Kindred, NYXL, Sawhill, Timeless are... scary. I just need to play confident, and I think I can beat anyone.
I mean, looking at the stats, it's kind of hard to imagine you struggling against even any of those players. Like, 12k damage on Blizzard World, 35 and 5. That's a KD right there. That's a pretty solid one right there. You're making a strong case for one of the better JQs in this tournament already.
Happy to hear that.
And we do look forward to seeing you kind of take that on more than down the line. And hey, that's awesome to hear that. Hey, you respect your opponents, but you also have the confidence to hey, I'm not one to be counted out. I know that I have the ability to show up and I can take them on in a matchup. Which honestly, seeing you against either Kindred or Sawhill would be absolutely insane to be able to watch out there. But that is really kind of to be decided out in the future. And I have a feeling that just after what we've seen today, we have a lot more Junker Queen gameplay to be coming our way. But before we head out, we want to know, Mari, do you have any shout-outs or final words that you'd like to make before you head off?
Shout out to the developers for buffing my character. Maybe get some... I've been on this character for 6 months, but I'll take it. Maybe some Doomfist meta next. I'll be into. Developers, if you're listening, take notes, whatever. Other than that, shout out my parents for being supportive, helping me want to do Path to Pro and stuff. Shout out team for helping me win. Not entirely 1v9, only a little bit. Also shout out Empress for coming in to help with some team VODs and stuff. Very supportive. I'm looking forward to our next couple of games. Oh, and free Spinor. Free Spinor. That's it.
All right, well, you know what? Thank you so much, Mari, for joining us today. Well, hopefully those devs heard your wishes about Doomfist. I myself am a little terrified now of attacking the rank ladder if that does end up happening. But you know what? We'll have to go ahead, wait and see. We're going to go ahead, let you go back, celebrate with your team. It was a pleasure to be able to talk with you today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the Calling All Heroes Minor in the future.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Maybe we can potentially give a secondary player of the match to the Blizzard Balance team just for buffing Junker Queen that much. Is that a thing that we can do? I don't know if we have the authority to do that, but if we do, this one's for you. You've earned this one. You are definitely played a role in Mari's victory, but again, she pounds on this hero, and yeah, she pounds on it before they even buffed her as hard as they did. For whatever reason, I still can't figure out why they did, but hey, it's really cool that they get to. But that's going to be it for us. We're going to go ahead and take a little break here. I'm going to let you guys all say hi to Echo, who was taking a nap, but I couldn't let her get away without showing her off.
The cat. Oh, and then, I was so busy laughing at the cat, I got completely distracted. I'm like, oh my gosh, so cute.
Totally natural. I sometimes get just distracted by how pretty she is, too.
I know, she's so pretty. And hey, you know what? I'll sit here at the Cat Cafe. Maybe I'll get to see her on the next one. We got another match coming up for you today. So don't go anywhere. Calling All Heroes. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, my name is Cassie Brown, aka CB, and I am an esports broadcaster. My pronouns are she, her. I am a transgender woman from Anchorage, Alaska, and I am now currently residing out in Philly. Calling all heroes is extremely important to me because culturally I believe esports still has a problem with things like sexism and homophobia and transphobia. We don't see a whole lot of people like us in the Overwatch League, and that really sucks because it's not because we can't do it and it's not because we shouldn't do it, but it's because when we go into voice chat in games, we're told you don't belong here, what are you doing? Calling all heroes is our chance to kind of change that narrative and to prove that if we give the talent that is there a place to practice and a place to cultivate, it will inevitably rise. And it's going to send the message to all of the people watching that yes, you do belong here. This is worth pursuing. You're not wasting your time. No matter what everyone else tells you, no matter what the people in voice chat want to say, you still belong here.
What's up, everybody?
With the first round of playoffs down, we are now into the quarterfinals. Good morning or good afternoon. My name is Epitomes. I am here with Chef Billy, and we are bringing you the next round of playoffs, which is going to be Genesis Reign versus Timeless Ethereal, and I am incredibly excited to bring you this next match. So looking at the bracket and how we got here, Genesis Reign knocking down Cryx to get into the quarters, while Timeless Ethereal going ahead and beating out 7-1 Black.
Yep, I mean, this is going to be a matchup between our previous major winner in Timeless Ethereal. They're sitting on 4,500 points here for the circuit. And in 7th place is Genesis Reign, and they're sitting on 875 points. So there's a bit of a difference between these two teams. And honestly, I think everybody right now is chasing Rift right now because Rift just looks absolutely indomitable. And I want to see, you know, what does Timeless Ethereal have up their sleeves here? We've got some familiar names, obviously, from these two squads. So we'll take a look at the rosters and see exactly who's going to be playing here today in our quarterfinal match. So we're going to start out with Timeless here. We've got Par, Azure, Santana, Cal, OW, and Lizard Wizard. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how they play there today. And then we'll take a look at Genesis Reign on the other side because we've got some familiar names here. Maybe not as well known as some of the other ones, but I think that Abby and Barros right now are going to be the two that we look for here on Genesis Reign. I think that Timeless should win out here, Epitomes, but we'll see what Genesis Reign actually have up their sleeves because anything can happen here. It's Overwatch. It's a beautiful Saturday night all across America here. And you know what? We're going to have a chance to take a look at our maps now. And we're going to start out on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and Lijiang Tower, it's a lot of different diversity that can happen, especially in the control center where you can kind of see a little bit edgier comps rather than what is meta come into play. But as the previous two casters mentioned before, there is a lot of emphasis on that Junker Queen right now. She is incredibly strong, and she is being brought into almost every single map that we've seen played so far, and I'm curious if that's going to be pushed into Lijiang Tower as well.
Well, I mean, there's 3 different comps that you can run here, honestly, on Lijiang Tower. I mean, everybody knows this map. It seems like it is the default map for control maps to start out a series. It's almost become like an absolutely massive thing that you have to do here. But we're going to see us starting out here. Let's take a look what these two teams have up their sleeves. Timeless showing us that Junker Queen composition, and we're going to look to see Azure getting them out of the spawn quickly. But Genesis Reign showing us a little bit more brawl, and these Zarya bubbles are going to be very well timed from Genesis Reign.
Yeah, I've just learned to never trust teams right at the very beginning for what they're going to bring, but it seems like the Symmetra on both sides is going to stay, and as I say that, they switch to the Tracers as they head out into the spawn.
Well, I mean, this is typical. I mean, you want to use the Symmetra to get out, and then you come back with a Tracer because you do have the boost to get you back on the play. But Genesis Reign, I mean, they're holding pretty steady right now, and they're going to stick with the Zarya composition, so you're looking to get the charge up and burst down the targets.
Now Now already a pick going through that Zarya you were talking about already down. Now the Junker Queen, it's her territory right outside the point, and the contention comes through from Timeless. Fifi is attempting to take down the health of the Junker Queen, but there's just so much to be had with the bleed as well as that commanding shout just to get them on the point, and it's a meltdown from Genesis Reign. Timeless going to take that first control.
I mean, using Carnage to get the bleed effect going through, and Fifi was getting a lot of work done on the Reaper there, but I mean, just so much sustain from Cal and Lizard Wizard. That's exactly what you want to see in this composition. You want to enable the Junker Queen and really allow them to get onto the other team and just lay havoc in.
The Pulse Bomb already ready from Azure, so Genesis Reign is going to have to watch out for this Tracer in their backline, already behind the Zarya once again. The health just melting away, but there's a sound barrier to try and save them. The Pulse Bomb manages to find the pick, nevertheless, and with the Consuming Rush coming through from Timeless, it's just going to be another one fight from them, while Genesis Reign forced back into their spawn.
Good thing for Genesis Reign, though, is that they've got 3 ultimates ready to go into this next fight. They did expend the sound barrier, so nothing really to deal with this EMP coming up.
And the Death Blossom, it doesn't get anything for Genesis Reign with the sound barrier from Lizard Wizard. Going to save them, but Candy Pop trades that one back as they force themselves across the bridge and towards the point. Timeless going to back off with the 3 ultimates expended, the Coalescence, the Pulse Bomb, and the Death Blossom, all swinging the momentum in Genesis Reign's direction, around 50% off before Genesis Reign are able to regain control.
I mean, what we're looking for right now is Abby to land a massive Graviton Surge to help them equalize the percentage gained by Timeless. Now, you're looking for Azure to get some work done with the machine pistols on this Tracer, and also looking for Funeral Carnival. You want to see what they can get done here as far as with using Gracie to pull somebody in, maybe get a quick execution.
This time fighting for the other side of Legion Tower. Once again charging up the pulse with those bubbles, but it's still going to be a pick. And now the Graviton Surge, they have to equalize. Lizard Wizard goes down, but the other picks, Timeless, are getting so much value off of their picks, while Genesis Reign, they're still struggling for the point. It's a 3v1 on the point. It's a Tracer dashing around, still able to get a bit of value for Cal. Finally shuts it down and regaining control, but the percentage has been equalized. The damage has been done. Genesis Reign keeping themselves competitive.
Big thing right now is that Poor You is going to have their sound barrier coming up into this next fight, but the EMP should be able to negate it. So as long as Fred holds on to this long time, and what is the Q-knife from Cal times 2!
And with that, 2 picks follow, make it the rest of the squad. The Coalescence was so close for Mithraea as well, but Timeless are so quick to shut it down on the back of that EMP. Still with 2 ultimates to spare, a lot of economy for Timeless for this last fight as the 90% are coming to kick in.
I mean, economic there from Timeless, and now it's Final Fight territory, and you're going to have this considered rush that could really be able to keep this point completely sold.
And Coalescence versus that Kitsune Rush. There's the Pulse Bomb as well, unable to find the pick, but there's the Junker Queen coming through with the Rampage. The anti-heal does so much, and Abby, even though finding 2 picks to equalize, the sound barrier coming through from Timeless allows so much stopping power, and the overtime just is about to fall away with this Tracer, the last player standing on the point. Oh, but that's enough time. Fifi comes back on, but it's not for long. Not long for this world. Objective going to Timeless on this first map.
I mean, what a back and forth battle there. I mean, it was really the tale of 3 fights, honestly, between Timeless and Genesis Reign. I mean, look at this from Azure. Azure just getting so much work done with those pistols. The format EMP was a real kicker for me at 46% and counting. And then this was what really closed out this last part of the map was Funeral Carnival. Really doing a wonderful job on the JQ. I love what I'm seeing out of them so far. So, I mean, for Genesis Reign right now, you've got to be able to get into the backline, take care of Cal. We've seen Cal in Contenders. We've seen Lizard Wizard in Contenders, and we know that this support duo is something to be reckoned with. So if you could take down one of those heads of the support Hydra, then you're going to have a better chance at taking control of Legion.
Yeah, and the onus of that should really be on Candy Pop here, while Abby and Fifi try to melt the Junker Queen from the front, and now already fighting for the site here. But Funeral Carnival looking for something. Candy Pop once again able to get out of the sticky situation they were in, while Fifi fights front to back. All three of them stacked up into the corner. Should be a lot of charge getting off for the Zarya, but they're unable to find the picks. Cal and Lizard Wizard keeping this team healthy. Poryu and Fifi finally capitalize, and now they're forcing them back into the spawn. Cal unable to get away. It's all left up to the Lizard Wizard trying to dance around the shots, but Genesis Reign controlled the first fight and controlled the point.
Much better there from Genesis Reign. They had a real intent behind their push there, and forcing the commanding shout early from Funeral Carnival allows them to subvert into the backline and take care of the supports there. Once you see Lizard Wizard or Cal go down, it's all done but the crying.
Once again, a second push to come through from Timeless. The charge is all the way up on Abby, and she's going to be able to get some damage down as it's being retained by all of these bubbles. Now it's the Kitsune Rush to force them through with this Hound Barrier also available. Azure going to be the first to capitalize off of this Kitsune Rush, dashing back and forth, and the Pulse Bomb already charged all the way up. It's a team kill from Timeless. 3 ultimates still in their possession. Only the Kitsune Rush that allows them to just rush into the point.
The fact that they had to expend that Kitsune Rush is actually a win for Genesis Reign. Even though they do lose control of the point, now they've got the wombo combo here of the grab and the Death Blossom. That's a 4-man EMP!
4-man EMP delays for just a second. The ultimates that can be taken down. Fred the Fish is trying to find value on the back line, and the Graviton Surge comes out along with the Coalescence. Even with the sound barrier now fading away, Abby finds the support, and now there's a little bit less of that burst healing, but there's the Pulse Bomb. It finds a huge 2, and that's just a hero play from Timeless Ethereal's Azure to keep control.
Epitomes. I mean, that was a fantastic stick from Azure. They let them have it. Just waited out for all the cooldowns to go away and then just stuck it with precision. Now, Fifi does have this Death Blossom still online. They should be able to flip this point if they can get on the top of it.
A little bit of control, and they're just going to back off. Now waiting to regroup, trying to get into the point once again. There's that Sombra spamming away. Fifi brought real low. Death Blossom available, but as soon as it's popped, just immediately eliminated. Funeral Carnival is able to force the players of Genesis Reign back to the back of the map, and they have to dance around this half wall to keep themselves from getting too low. Abby's finding Cal, and they're missing out on the Kitsune Rush in this fight. The commanding shout gives them a bit of that sustain, while Lizard Wizard going to try and follow up with this sound barrier in case it's ever needed, but they're stalling so well. Fifi is unable to find anything here and hold on to this point for Genesis Reign, and it's just going to flip back over to Timeless Ethereal's side. Once again, Funeral Carnival doing so well with the Junker Queen pick to just force them back.
I love it. And just the ultimate discipline. This is what you get from experienced Overwatch players here. Cal and Lizard Wizard just absolutely owning it and not panicking when they go into it. So now another EMP ready to go. They should be able to use this.
The pace of this EMP is just giving Timeless Ethereal so much space and a lot more time to react to the ultimates that Genesis Reign stacks up when they try to push back into these points once again. And now as this fight commences, you have Fred the Fish in the back line here with the EMP, but they're able to pop the sound barrier and get it off. Now Sombra out of the fight and their player down, but with the sound barrier coming through from Lizard Wizard, although they've been stuck, the Graviton Surge comes through, and Candy Pop is able to spam down damage with the pulse guns, and Genesis Reign, even in overtime, they are holding on. Azure dashing in and out of the point, trying to get some damage down. Now a left up to Fred the Fish, but decides better of it, teleports back, and waits for the team to come in for one final push to hold on to the second round.
It's going to have to be Fred to take a touch of the point and trigger the overtime here, and Lizard Wizard is going to have to do some dancing on the point to get the rest of the team back.
Fred the Fish coming in from the back, trying to focus down the supports here, but the Moira is just so strong with the self-heal. Now the Lucio real low, but Koryu still able to survive, and Abby Candy Top with the combo are able to take down 2 players. It's all left up to Fred the Fish, but with only 3 health points to their name, they're just going to go ahead, back off, surrender this round, making the scoreline 1-1. This map so close to the 2 of these teams neck and neck.
I mean, just the point presence here from Genesis Reign was clean. You know, they knew when to back off and when it was okay for them to push in. And really, I mean, ultimate discipline from both teams, very, very clean here for them. And now we're heading to Control Center. And this is where I think that we should see Abby, switch over to the JQ. Yeah. But I mean, maybe Funeral Carnival might be going to this what? Oh goodness. To the Ramatra here, and yes. Yeah, I just had a complete brain burp there. And you know, they're bringing out the Mei as well, so I mean, focus fires could be good for both sides. Abby's gonna be under a lot of duress here.
And it's on the other side, it's that Genji and Ashe combination as well. The Mei is able to zone so many of Genesis Reign's players just into this little corner, and with the presence from the Ramatra as well as Mei with Focus Fire on primary, should be able to get a lot of damage down, but it's actually Abby that finds that first pick while Genesis Reign is able to corral all of Timeless Ethereal's players back into their spawn. Lizard Wizard holding on for the moment, but they have taken so much control. The switch onto the Junker Queen was incredibly strong from Abby.
I mean, great engage there from Koryu with the amp speed, getting them on top of Funeral Carnival, and really the Ragged Blade really did deal a lot of damage there to Funeral Carnival. And just you know, once the flimsy little shield and the slow comes out, the Ravishing Vortex, it's all over.
Getting on to the point once again, it's that sole Ramatra alone being kept up very well by Cal on the Baptisto. The Immortality Field, now the Amplification Matrix to come through and get that much more damage down. Fred the Fish, unfortunately not able to find value on just yet, but the Mei, 1 pick, the Blizzard ready. However, still Genesis Reign holding on with so much vigor to this point.
Excuse me? How do you live through that? I mean, you had the amp matrix set up ready, exactly. So you got a pick, and they flipped the fight on its head. Now you're looking at Bob and the Kitsune Rush coming through. I mean, that's a deadly combo in its own right. Partner that with a blade on the end of that, this could be a very easy 100-0 win for Genesis Reign.
Timeless Ethereal is struggling with a Ramatra pick as well, but now with the Annihilation ready, they could potentially find something more. Now the Kitsune Rush to counter the Blizzard while the Blade comes through. The Dragon Blade looking for the supports, looking for the backline. Now the Annihilation just going to finish off Fifi, and it was a potential 100-0, but as this fight swings in the direction of Genesis Reign, the combination of those 2 ultimates, the Annihilation, the Blizzard, as well as the Sound Barrier, there was so much survivability for this Timeless Ethereal squad.
I mean, you're going to have the Amp Matrix again to hold point here, especially holding up the choke, with the Dragon Strike being able to hold the choke here. There's a lot that Genesis Reign have to contend with, and there's the Dragon Strike coming out early.
And it's going to get a lot of that damage down and delay just a little bit longer so they can get the percentage to even out. But now with the Rampage to come through, and there is no Kiriko to cleanse that away, the Immortality Field is going to keep them alive for a moment, but it's not enough. The Junker Queen, once again, does so much damage, has so much value, and Fred the Fish might be able to find a little bit of something, but might even be able to run away. No, just runs off the edge of the map. And now Azure looking to touch the point, having to trigger that overtime, but immediately recalls and is trying to stay alive. The team comes in, the overtime has been activated, but they need to keep touching, and Genesis Reign, the presence from the Junker Queen, they just force them so far back, they can't even get a touchdown. Genesis Reign taking off the first map from the previous Major 1 winners.
I mean, this is upset alert here. Here at Calling All Heroes, I mean, this is not what we were expecting. Genesis Reign coming out the gate strong and absolutely owning. First with the Zarya composition, which isn't really meta right now, but they made it work. And then coming out with the Junker Queen into the Ramatra, you would think that it would be an opposite way there. But actually working with the Junker Queen up against the Ramatra, just absolutely owning it. The support was too good. And what I said on Night Market happened here, especially on Control Center, is they got to Cal. They got to Lizard Wizard. They took the support legs out from underneath Timeless Ethereal. And it was pretty easy sailing there for Genesis Reign.
Yeah, and especially when Junker Queen is meta, you find that you want that Kiriko as soon as she's been released to be able to get the cleanse down, but they didn't have that. They had the Baptiste with the Immortality Field that was easily destroyed, and the delay just wasn't there. The burst and the healing wasn't there either after that Immortality Field was taken down, and ultimately that's what cost them the very last fight on that third map. So looking back at this, the Sombra was a good pick from Fred the Fish. They were able to find so much delay time despite the ultimates that were being put out from Genesis Reign, but on the last map, they switched over to that Hanzo Mei composition, trying to get the Blizzard to work with them and allow them to find space, and it just didn't work.
Yeah, the Ramatra Brawl does not go well into a Junker Queen comp. And I mean, they just got absolutely out-muscled and out-rotated. I mean, the speed with which you saw Genesis Reign be able to accept the damage coming in and then turn a fight on its head. I mean, excuse me, ma'am, that's not how that's supposed to go down, but it's exactly what Genesis Reign did. And I mean, I could tell you what, Abby, she put in some work on this Junker Queen. You see it right there, taking Azrae down. The rampages were huge. This was close to the last fight. I mean, exactly what you needed out of them. So good out of Genesis Reign, they take the 1-0 lead.
Now, it is going to be 1-0. We talk about upsets, you know, Timeless Ethereal being the major 1 champions and already being able to take a map off of them so early right here on Lijiang Tower is huge. Now, going on to the next one, do you think that we are going to keep seeing the Junker Queen out of Abby, even though the Zarya was able to work for them, especially when they have that Wombo combo up with the Graviton Surge? Here on Hollywood, is Junker Queen something that they're going to want to force on a hybrid map?
I don't know. I think that we would rather see a Winston or a Diva here, honestly, because you need to be able to control high ground, not only on point A, but also when you get into the streets phase. High ground is so important to control, to keep the payload in check, and keep, the spam damage from coming in. So, I mean, you can run the Junker Queen. I just think that if you're going to run with the Junker Queen, you've got to have a good tracer, and I think that you have to run with the Sombra as well. Also in the support category, you've got to have a Brigitte and Ana. I think those 3 things right there really are what has to happen here for a successful hold or a successful take of the point.
Yeah, so with the Brigitte on Ana, and you're looking at potentially a Winston and Diva for those compositions. So you're really trying, even with the Kiriko and the Lucio that we saw a lot of in this last map, they were really good at surviving those dives. But on the side of Genesis Reign, they actually took out the Moira. And I want to talk about that for a little bit because it's really interesting how much survivability and the self-heal that she's able to do with the Biotic Orb.
Well, I mean, you're also, I guess the other thing is that you are now allowed to fade when you are in coalescence. So you can't be, I mean, you can avoid the manual hack coming through from a summer because that'll take you out of your coalescence. You can avoid the EMP as well if you time it right. So, I mean, there's a lot of survivability for the Moira, but once you pull that fade out, I mean, Moira, other than the self-heal, is pretty vulnerable. So I think that they were waiting and they were very cognizant of when we saw that come through and they were able to follow up on it. Because, I mean, that's so much burst healing right there from the Moira. And they really did focus down on it. So, I mean, Genesis Reign really did have their number going through Lijiang. Now, Hollywood, I don't think that we'll see the Moira once again. I think that it's going to be a combination of Ana and Brigitte, or maybe you might run with an Ana Zen, depending on if you want to focus more on damage. And also, the pick potential of the volley coming out from the Omnic healer. But we'll see what they do decide to do here because, I mean, really, the meta's so up in the air. I just think that, the main things that we look for Hollywood is that you've got to control high ground, especially point B. When you get to point C, you can go a little bit more brawly if you want. But I mean, a lot of times you've got such a head of steam when you're getting into point 3 that you usually stick with the same comps that you're going with. You might see a Cassidy come out. You might see a Farah. I mean, Farah can work on points A and B pretty well. So I mean, really, it just depends on what kind of comfort we're looking at here.
Yeah, we actually did see a little bit of that Ashe. You talked a bit about the Cassidy, but I think possibly that Ashe coming out, especially from the side of Genesis Rain, which is exactly what they seem to be going for right off the bat. On the other side of Timeless Ethereal, it's the Sombra Tracer combination, and they really want to get those picks onto the back line with these two types of DPS. And you talked about the Ana break, Timeless Ethereal, they're going to push that comp. But on the other side, the Kiriko Lucio, the same as what we saw on the control point.
I mean, high ground's going to be at a premium here.
Yeah.
Genesis Rain, they're going to have to really maintain point presence. And I think that you're looking for Candy Pop and Fifi to be able to kind of, navigate the two high grounds here. And looking for Abby to hold the point while you see Poryu and Mithraya. They will be the ones that'll keep everybody up. But, I mean, Mithraya, they're going to have to hold that swift step for when they're really under massive duress.
Already pushed up to the street, getting close to the point B. Now Fred the Fish remaining undetected over here on the back line, looking to disable that Junker Queen, but instead deciding to go up for the high ground, trying to coordinate with Sawhill. A little bit of a change in the tank here onto the second map, but Genesis Rain are able to maintain control and force those players back. Sawhill and Fred the Fish. Unfortunately, that hack jump combo from the Winston is not enough to be able to take down the supports and the high ground.
I mean, we've got a disconnect there for Genesis Rain, and we'll see how they're able to navigate through this. I mean, not a lot going out there, but I mean, losing the Ashe there and just a little bit of that early ult charge is a big problem. And it's going to be coming back from spawn, so I mean, there's going to be a momentary 4v5 for Timeless Ethereal here. But I mean, that first dive in, I mean, you saw the hack come through, you saw the bubble go down, but I mean, just the explosive power using the coach gun and the dash, I mean, just absolutely melted the poor Winston there. And I mean, that's a reset. Once the Winston is gone, your engage is gone, and everything else kind of falls by the wayside. So I mean, excellent first defense of the point there. And you saw Azure. I mean, he had to get out with just a sliver of health. So the work is being done there. First fight in. Now, do we see Fred the Fish go for the Kiriko? To make sure that they can't swift step out, because that's really what kept them in that fight, is that the swift step right away from the Tesla cannon, and then you saw the follow-up on the back of it. I mean, that was absolutely brutal.
Yeah, just completely shredding the Winston on the high ground, and the ult charge on the Ashe, that Bob is so valuable, especially now in the 5v5 format. Just getting that 6th man in there to be able to output tons of damage, have tons of health that the players need to shred through and focus as well. And going on with the Brigitte and the Ana as well, it's a little bit tougher for the Brigitte, especially to be able to keep the health of the Winston up if they're going to get shredded so quickly up there on the high ground, and she's kind of still lagging behind with the Ana trying to protect the other support.
Yeah, I mean, running with the Ana Brigitte here, I mean, you're using the Brigitte just to keep Ana alive. That's what Brigitte's real job is. But I mean, you're gonna lack from an amount of burst healing until you get that Inspire up. So, I mean, the whole onus of keeping Winston up is on the Ana in this composition. I mean, you can throw some biscuits at the monkey, but it's not going to do enough to keep them up through the burst that you just saw. And I mean, that's a perfect example. I mean, they played that perfectly. They held high ground. They waited for the engage to come in, and they just bursted the monkey down, and it's a reset from there. So really a smart play from there. We'll see if they can continue this up, because once ultimates start running around epitomes, that's where we're going to have a problem, because then you're going to have a nano Winston is very hard to deal with. You don't have a sleep. You don't have the CC really to deal with it. You don't have the sleep there. So that's going to be a very angry monkey in your face. And then once the Primal Rage comes out, that's where I think that we're going to see a lot of issues come through, because you're going to have displacement, you're going to have juggling, and we'll see how Genesis deals with this. But for right now, in the neutral, yeah, they're going to probably win this.
Yeah, and they do have that Genji in their comp as well, and the onus of the taking down the supports is probably going to be on that Genji being able to get in and out really quickly with dashes. But with the Brigitte, it's also going to be a problem. So in the neutral, you don't really know when it comes to the diving the supports. You can have the Ashe kind of spamming down, can take down squishies very quickly with the headshots on the coach gun, but is it going to be enough with the Brigitte right next to the Ana?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how Brigitte deals with it, because I mean, that's what you have the Brigitte there for. You're using the shield bash there. You're using the flail to keep the Genji away. The big problem is that they're going to have to deal with the Ashe, and with the dynamite coming in, you've got the burn over time. That's where I'm really going to be looking to see the value between the symbiosis between the Ashe and the Genji. Are you following up on the TNT when the players are burning? Are you getting there with dashes? Are you getting the dash reset, for any confirmed kills going through? So that's, really what we want to see is, not only how does Timeless deal with the Genji and the Ashe, but how does Timeless Ethereal, counteract that and move in on top of it?
Well, one thing that we haven't talked about when it comes to Genesis Reign's composition is they're keeping the Junker Queen. And you talked about controlling the high ground, and that's really the job of the Genji and the Ashe there. And you have the Kiriko with the Swift Step, Lucio with the Wallkind that can kind of keep them up. But what is the Junker Queen going to be doing while they're trying to deal and control with the high ground? Junker Queen, is she going to be harassing the supports? Is she going to be attempting to deal with the DPS and kind of make that space?
I mean, Gracie is a wonderful tool to pull somebody to you. I think that you can hold on top of the cafe there, and then drop when you need to, and kind of move down as a 5-man unit. So I mean, there's different theories of how you can do this. You can either control from the high ground and touch when you need to, and not allow that tick to come through, or you can stay on the ground and then kind of accept the damage coming in and allow more of that ult charge coming through, especially for the Kiriko, because the Kiriko with the kunai, it's an instant lock on. As long as you've got your reticle over the player, you're going to get the healing through. Getting Kitsune rush up is going to be super important for Genesis Reign here, especially with Nano coming up very quickly, and with Rally coming up pretty soon after that. We'll see how they actually deal with this.
Yeah, being able to spam down so much more, the Primal Rage as well, giving the huge, massive health pool to the Winston. We should be getting back into this game very soon. Unfortunately, it seems like it might be a restart. Okay. All right, 15 seconds to game, folks. We are going to be right back into this map of Hollywood very soon to push through these games. Now, we are doing a lot of theory crafting here on the desk, and I'm really excited to see how that theory is going to play out in practice.
Well, I mean, we're going to see, come back to it. Well, we've gone from daytime to nighttime here in Hollywood, and, we're going to get a restart here, so... back to square one. We'll see if there's going to be any changes from either side. Looks like Genesis Reign is going to continue with this composition that we saw them come out on, and no changes really for Timeless Ether or Eternal. We'll see. We'll see if they stay with the Azure Junkrat. I don't know. I don't know if you want to run with that. I mean, the spam damage could be good. You could really control Fifi as well with the concussion lines, but we'll see. Yeah, I think Azure, back to the Tracer. Definitely going to be looking for Mithraya and Poryu in the support line.
Once again, they have a chance, an opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the daytime map of Hollywood, but it seems like Fred the Fish going right back around, looking for that quick flank over here onto the point, while Sawhill dances around the corner, waiting for the opportunity to pounce up onto the high ground. But this time it's not a direct dive onto these players. They're instead going to control a cross from the house, and bounced back by the Lucio though. Sawhill now on the low ground and forced to contend with the Junker Queen. Abby comes out on top of the engagement, and Fred the Fish trying to get a little bit of damage through. Poryu does fall in a 1-for-1 though, without the Winston making that space for the squad. It's a lot harder to push themselves onto the point.
Well, I mean, that's a good trade for Genesis Reign. I think taking Sawhill down is the absolute good play there, and that's a big hack coming through.
Ooh. attack onto the Genji, taking quite a bit of damage, but backing right on up. Fred the Fish pushing through, and the anti-heal does come as well. But the Junker Queen is able to stay alive inside the house for now, but not contest the point. Winston having control of the high ground as well, and now going to bounce back and take those points up onto the objective.
Yep, and then we're going to see them just go ahead and give over. Well, I guess they're going to give the contester. What a hack coming through, and the anti. Abby should go down in a hurry.
Yeah, they do have the Primal Rage ready here, but with the Ana right next to them and the Inspire being procced so steadily by Lizard Wizard, they're not going to need it. Now the payload having to be pushed down the streets over onto point B. Winston taking control of the early of the high ground. Sawhill just looking for an opportunity right behind Azure and Fred the Fish.
I mean, you're looking for EMP to start the engagement here as you hold high ground. That is a lot of damage early onto Fifi. The Genji getting almost burst down, and Azure has to recall out. But I mean, yeah, this is a great amount of space being taken here from Genesis Reign. Now you've got Bob available, so there's that sixth man, and you've got the high ground control, so lots of angles here. They're spy checking all over the place for Fred the Fish. They know the EMP's online.
Ooh, they're trying to check, but the EMP still comes through, and Sawhill finding Candy Pop and taking down the Ash. No Bob for this fight, and the Tesla Cannon just keeps giving. Fifi is able to stay alive with the Dragon Blade in the back pocket, but they're going to have to surrender a little bit more space now under this high ground bridge with the Junker Queen on top. The Kitsune Rush going down, giving them that space to hop through, but Sawhill is still just harassing that back line, and the anti-nade comes through as well, but Cal does fall for that. Now Abby with a rampage potential, but Timeless Ether, they just keep finding the space and finding the picks. Sawhill harassing the sports once again. Swift Step forced out. Lizard Wizard taking down Candy Pop once again. The bomb potential has been neutralized, and Sawhill is finding so much value out of these pounces, able to control the high ground. The bubble comes through to protect the teammates, and Timeless Ether, they surge forward.
I mean, this has been a complete change from day to night, literally, for Timeless Imperial and Sawhill. Get the work done, but Steve, that's reset, gets through, there's the blade out.
Oh. And with the Rampage come through, there's that anti onto the few of the players of Timeless, Ethereal, but Eternal, but they still have those supports of Sawhill now looking to force back the Junker Queen. Once again, it's going to work. They are away from the payload. They're not contesting, but as the Junker Queen comes back through, the Brigitte is able to just fight with the flail, the Inspire being procced so steadily, and Fred the Fish looking for that backline damage, but Mithrea now finding the Sombra, and Lizard Wizard going down. The Nano is going to try to be the savior of this play, but Sawhill, even with it, is going to have to back up and hide behind the bubble for a little bit of cover.
What a hold there from Genesis Reign. They should have, by all rights, lost that fight, and it's on the back of Mithria. Even though Poryu does go down, they got so much healing up with the amp heals. They're going to have the sound barrier coming into this fight, and on the back of that, the next Kitsune Rush is going to be huge.
Yeah, the Kitsune Rush coming up so steadily, and it's going to be a rampage to follow that as well. Fred the Fish attempting to keep pace with the EMP, and the Pulse Bomb is kind of a throwaway ultimate here, coming up very, very quickly for Azure, very consistently, when they're forced to just back off here.
This has been a pretty decent hold here. Big anti-nade attempted there from Cal. Doesn't find what they want on it, but they'll get it back up soon enough. But the Rampage. Rampage is going to be the big kicker here. Seeing how many people that Abby can catch on this, she has them in their sights. Do you hold it? Yeah, you hold it. You wait for the contest here. At 90 or 65 seconds left here. This could be a decent hold. 4 ultimates almost ready for Genesis Reign.
Already pushed this payload back around the corner. They're fighting for the high ground control, and the Nano has come through, but it's the sound barrier as well as the Kitsune Rush that's going to counter, but without Abby in the fight, they don't have the Rampage, but Fifi is going to make up for lost time with the Pulse Bomb. Primal Rage is available, but now Sawhill is on the run, just backing all the way off, and they're going to have to wait for the next push. They have 30 seconds left over. Azure maybe try to counteract Fifi, find the same bit of value that Fifi's Pulse Bomb did, but it's going to be hard-pressed to find a good path, especially now with the high ground control from Genesis Rain already. They're able to get a little bit of that touch onto the payload, but Sawhill so low, and they're once again retreating to try and get that Ana, get the heal back up. Abby with the Rampage still in the back pocket. The MP comes through, but Abby still takes down Sawhill, and Poryu going to bounce away. The Tracer, they're not able to get on to point B. Timeless Eternal only finding 1 point in the first round.
I mean, we entered point B with a massive time bank and high ground control. It's Hollywood 101. If you control the high ground, you pretty much guarantee yourself a win. And the ultimate economy that came out from Genesis Rain, I mean, just fantastic from them. I mean, this first fight was just disgusting from Abby, but then you saw the follow through come through from Timeless Ethereal, and they really did put a lot of work into this. Fifi on the Genji here. Yeah, they get one with the dash reset, but going over to this Tracer turns the fight in their favor. I mean, got a 3K, and then it was just done from there. So for Timeless Ethereal, I mean, they are facing match point here, and for Genesis Rain, they just got to basically get it past the jail, just a little bit in front of the studio doors, and they're gonna look at the, knocking our previous major winners out of this minor tournament.
It is looking at first 3, so this is going to be definitely a very tough map, but Timeless Eternal do have that little bit of wiggle room left over if they do surrender this one. But Genesis Rain, during that point A, just kind of backed off a little bit more and looked more for that streak control instead. But I bet Timeless Eternal is really going to want to fight for this very first point instead, since they don't really have as much space as they would want going into round 2. Already using that Lucio speed boost to get themselves past the corner. They're not even able to get any damage down from Azure very quickly, and Sawhill goes in for the dive early.
This is a fantastic first pull here from Timeless. I mean, they just were not coordinated on this attempt.
Yeah.
And as it is, I mean, look at this, already in the 20s here for Timeless and still in the teens for Genesis Rain. So I think that they need to look at engaging Fifi first and looking around. They've got to be aware of Fred on this Sombra. Fred, they have been really impactful on this Sombra. So I want to see how they get through this first point hold. Big anti comes through from Cal once again.
Oh. Candy Pop taking down Azure, but Fred the Fish does trade it right back. Sawhill going back to retreat into the high ground and try to hold the great anti-nade from Cal, and it just allows Fred the Fish and Sawhill to just go on a rampage on the high ground. Now, speaking of rampages, we have the Junker Queen alone, and the Jagged Knife does find one, but Fred the Fish will finish off that tank. Now, still a lot of time left over. Genesis Rain, their first 2 pushes didn't really go as planned, speed boosting into the opposite house, but we'll see what they come up with next.
I mean, you're looking for the engagement while you're waiting for Lizard Wizard to get back. And I mean, right now, Azure has complete control here. And I mean, Fred the Fish is getting work done on this Sombra. And I want to see, where do we go with this first Nano? I think Nano is going to go on the Sawmill to get them up to the rest of the way towards their primal rage. Genesis, they need to get some serious damage going here because they are just looking for some kind of entry onto this point.
Sawhill backs off the high ground once again, but going to go ahead and try to dive the anti-support. Poryu does survive in a nick of health, and Sawhill once again backing off to the point as the Tracer just dances around Fifi looking for something, and now the Nano comes through. Primal Rage is ready for Sawhill, but it's just a bloodbath over on the point. The Brigitte keeping away the Fifi, and Fifi has to hide, dance around this a little bit of a corner, but Cal, at the end of the day, finishes off the Tracer. Once again, Timeless, they are defending so incredibly well on this first point.
I mean, Rampage is about ready to go. So, I mean, the hack target's got to be Abby here from Fred the Fish. They don't have the EMP to counteract that. And Bob, I think it's going to come with Cal to sleep the Bob and see what they get out of it. Yep, there's a sleep.
Yeah, they're not going to want to touch Bob at all. But on the other side, Hasaray also does have a Bob available. The Rampage can come through here. The Primal Rage is already out and just trying to force all of the players off the site. But the ticks are coming through for just a few seconds there. They get that first pick. Genesis Reign, they're maintaining control for the time being. And now with Poryu going down, they're missing that little bit of burst. Mithrea to follow. And 3 players on Genesis Reign left over, but even with the commanding shout, even with that little bit of a shield and the overhealth, Fifi just cannot get enough damage through. Lizard Wizard finishing off Abby, and now 20 seconds left over. We were hesitant about Timeless's first push, but Genesis Reign, they can't even force themselves through the first choke.
I mean, they're going to be facing EMP and the Nano here into this next fight. Fifi has to come up big with this Pulse Bomb.
Fifi looking for a Pulse Bomb stick, but Azure finding Poryu once again a support out, and Abby, even with the Winston switch just to get the touch on. We have Fifi on the point, but Lizard Wizard quickly neutralizes that threat, and Sawhill proving to be the superior Winston and forcing all of Genesis Reign's players off the point. There will be no overtime. There will be no street for Genesis Reign. Timeless Eternal able to take the second map.
I mean, really, Lizard Wizard getting the work done here defensively. Just had a wonderful map here, and I think that, you know, looking at what Timeless did there so well, they controlled the high ground. I mean, really, they held on top of Cafe, and they really didn't face a lot of the damage coming in. Just really Azure being able to pop off with the Ash up there, and Fred just being the constant harassment in the back line, never allowing Fifi and company to get a full concerted push. And I mean, it took ultimates just to get them onto the point. They got 1 tick, and they were completely thwarted. Lizard Wizard and Cal put up a memorable performance there in the support department in Sawhill. Yeah, I mean, Winston absolutely rules on first point Hollywood, and we just saw why.
Yeah, and that Sombra hack just neutralizes so much. No matter how strong you are, if you're getting the hack onto the Kiriko, there isn't going to be that cleanse there. There isn't going to be the swift step to try and escape, and it's just constant harassment of the backline. And Sawhill can follow up so well on that, on the with the Winston. However, on the attack, I mean, we saw that it was a little bit dicey. It was getting a little bit shaky for Timeless Eternal. And I mean, we're not really surprised when you look at the Brigitte and Ana. They have a lot less mobility than what we saw come out from Genesis Reign, and they were able to defend really well with the Kiriko and Lucio. But when it comes to Brigitte and Ana on the defense, they are incredibly oppressive.
I mean, it was all about the high ground control once again. I mean, Abby showing us a really good Junker Queen. Let me preface this statement by saying that, but you did not have the ability to get to the high ground. I would have rather seen a Diva go up there and challenge Sawhill on the Winston. That would have given them a lot of room for pause. It would have mitigated a lot more damage. That's the one thing that the Genesis was kind of lacking there, was damage mitigation. Even with the flimsy 600-point bubble from Winston, it's still 600 points of damage that's not going onto your support line or going onto your DPS or going onto yourself. So, you know, going to the last-minute swap of the Winston, I don't know if that's
they
necessarily
got the idea.
Yeah, you got the right idea, just a little bit too late.
Yeah, when it came down to it, it was 30 seconds left over. They switch over to the Winston, and you still have the Kiriko Lucio. They need to be right there with you in order to follow up. Kiriko, not so much, but Lucio most definitely to get the most value out of that support, and it just wasn't there. And at the end of the day, you're playing Junker Queen on a map like Hollywood, and you're telling me that you need to take the stairs when they have Winston that can just jump onto your support. You're taking the stairs, and it's just like that little bit of time. It's a few seconds, but with Overwatch, time is everything. Even just a few seconds, it's just the difference between a one fight and one that's completely falls apart.
I mean, when you're going up the stairs, Sawhill can just go the other way and just drop down and, you know, take out your back line and then hop back up and take care of the Junker Queen on the back of that. So, I mean, I see what they were trying to do. It just was not executed as well as they may have liked. So, you know what? They'll have another chance here. We're all tied up at 1 here in our first to 3. So, we'll see what Genesis Reign have up their sleeves here, because You know, that just did not go in their favor. I thought they did very well defensively, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, headed on to this next map. It's Rialto. So this is very famously, I would say, a sniper map. It's a map where you see a lot of Widows being taken out, and I'm curious if either of these teams do have that Widowmaker player on their team that they really have to hold down in the back line. But having the snipers as well, you kind of do invite the dive compositions.
You do. And I think that D.Va has to be played here. Junker Queen does not work as well here. You can make it work if you force it, if you can take high ground control on point B, if you take the high ground control around the corner of death. That's really where I think that a lot of these Junker Queen compositions run into a lot of problems, is that they don't have the mobility to hold high ground as well, especially if you're an attacker. Now, if you're a defender, you can get the Junker Queen up there easily by accessing the stairs. So we'll see what will come out of this Rialto comp, because we saw in the previous match, the snipers ruled. And Senna and Sarah were going blow for blow between each other. And, well, we saw how that ended up going. So, for these two teams, I mean, you're going to have to... I think Azure for Timeless Ethereal would be the go-to here for that hit scan. As far as Genesis, I mean, Fifi could be the one that brings out that out, or it could be Candy Pop. Candy Pop versus Azure would be my guess if we do go into that sniper mirror. Now, it also depends on if you want to go with the Hanzo and have a little bit more utility in the back pocket. But, I mean, the one-shot potential for both players, or for both heroes, absolutely really is what you want to go for here, especially first point if you're looking for a first point hold.
Yeah, and speaking of the Junker Queen not being able to get to the high ground, I feel like the only thing that might be able to counter that is that Life Weaver with the pedal platform that can get you up to the high ground. But who's playing Life Weaver if we're being realistic? Because Life Weaver, just the healing is not there for that hero.
The meme is going around, Life Weaver, Wife Weaver. But I don't see anybody playing that right now.
Yeah.
The ultimate's kind of garbage, honestly. It can be destroyed as well. So, I mean, come on. I think Zenyatta is a better pick here, honestly, especially with the D.Va composition. I think that we will see a change up in tanks here. Because you really, I mean, if you run with the Junker Queen, you're basically giving up any kind of high ground control unless you're going to run with the Pharah or an Echo, and that's going to require a Mercy. And then that's, single target healing, and it's going to come on to, either a Lucio or an Ana there to keep the rest of the team up. And, it's single target healing. Other than the biotic grenade that comes out every, couple of seconds, that's really what I look for when we talk about Rialto. So for Genesis Reign right now, Abby, yeah, we'll see how they actually decide to come through with this, because we've seen Sawhill. Sawhill is willing to play a host of tanks. I mean, we saw Funeral Carnival on the control map. We'll see if that substitution comes back in here, but we'll see how these two teams decide to duke it out in the streets of Italy.
And looking at this streets of Italy, it's going to, we saw Funeral Carnival on that first map that you mentioned it, playing the Junker Queen, but also in the previous interview when they were speaking with the members of Whiplash, they said that tank player, Mari, was worried about Sawhill playing the Junker Queen. So I'm curious if they did sub out those tank players just specifically to play the Junker Queen here. But looking at Timeless Ethereal's composition, we do have the Echo Mercy combination with the Ana. It's going to try and substitute for as much burst as possible, but they've already rounded around the first corner. Genesis Reign with their Ana Brigitte combination, and the D.Va like you predicted from Abby. But there isn't really the sniper here. There is the Ashe, but not the Widow or Hanzo like we expected.
So much more utility in the Ashe, though. You've got the Coach Gun to be able to build from high to low ground. You've got the TNT for some CC. I mean, there's lots of potential here with the Ashe. What sleep coming through!
Oh, Abby is able to survive through it here and just going to take down Sawhill very easily. Now with a little bit of a disjointed players left over on Timeless Ethereal's side, it seems like they're not going to look for this first point hold, especially with Sawhill having to come with a long walk back from the base. The jumps are going to help a little bit, but there's a lot of just sustain that is happening from Genesis Rain's side. Cal is going to fix that, just going to take down Mithrea in the back line, and that just enables Sawhill to go ham on Abby. Found the Diva out of play, Azure finishing off Candy Pop, and it is Timeless Ethereal going to hang on a few meters before that last point.
Azure already with duplicate online. Hello? How? I mean, I saw you got a lot of work done, but good lord, that is a lot of progress there. I mean, getting that in one extended fight, that is some serious work being done by the Echo player, and obviously being boosted up by Lizard Wizard on this Mercy.
Yeah, Lizard Wizard allowing so much more damage to come through on the Echo, but you can see how far Fifi and Candy Pop are allowed to push up, especially with that hack, just able to neutralize a lot of the kit and make them take so much more damage. So Winston becomes so much more friable in this situation, even with the anti-nade comes through, but Sawhill, despite the hack, is going to just pounce onto Brigitte. The anti-dive support still able to take down with the Tesla Cannon. Primal Rage now in pocket with Lizard Wizard, bringing Fred the Fish back into the fight without a bit of a consequence. Now, Timeless Ethereal, all 5 players still online, still hanging on to point A.
EMP Rally into the next fight. They're sub 130 here, and I'm looking for Timeless Ethereal. I mean, you've got basically a fight extender in that Primal Rage. Closest thing after that is the Bob, and I mean, you've got the EMP, you've got the Sleep to deal with that.
Okay, Abby is just solo fighting with Sawhill and Azure at that point, and now the Diva out of mech, still surviving for a second before the Tesla Cannons and a little bit of a melee are taking the Diva out. Now 48 seconds left, make that 45. They have to find something that's going to give them that final little push through those arches, but Sawhill has so much dominance over here on the high ground. They have that Sombra though in the back line. It seems that she has been spotted. Fifi able to just kind of run around in the invis while the rest of the squad fighting with Sawhill. They're gonna back off. The anti-nade comes through big though. Abby's gonna have to be a little bit more hesitant, wait for the heals to come through. But once again, now the EMP over here on the side, but Cal takes down Fifi with just so surefire with the Sleep, and now Sawhill in the Primal Rage. They're going to have the nanos as well, and they're able to just get the Primal Rage Winston with the nano into the back line, diving onto the Brigitte and forcing them forward, which allows the rest of the team to clean up the fight. Abby trying to get away with only the mech, but it's just all over with Fifi stalling on the point. It's not enough. 93 meters for Genesis Rain on first push.
I mean, they were never able to really dislodge Sawhill. Sawhill got so much work done. And I want to point out once again, the fact that Azure had duplicate in the first extended fight, got a second one up and duplicated the Tracer, had the Pulse Bomb ready to go, but everybody was dead before they actually were able to let loose this. So, I mean, it went a begging, but still. I mean, the focus fire, the damage boost coming through from Lizard Wizard, just absolutely owning through here at Sawhill. Just completely unbothered, completely moisturized in their lane. And having absolutely, yeah, you gotta be moisturized. You gotta be moisturized as the monkey.
And with the Sombra Tracer as well, it's a lot harder to target the Echo, because even though you do have that hack there, if you have the Echo and the Mercy, they can just stay in the air, and the damage is just a little bit further off, and it's difficult to try and get on top of them. Now, Genesis Rain, they're going to actually take out the Widowmaker, though. The Echo Mercy combo is there as well as they get started on the defense, but Timeless Ethereal instead looking at an Ana Lucio.
Yep, they're looking for the anti-nades going in to deal with Mithraia and Abby. You saw how much work they got done on to the D.Va. D.Va was not really a presence for Genesis Reign in their attack phase. So a little bit easier here for Genesis Reign to hold high ground. You're going to be looking, though. You're going to be looking for Sawhill to get the engagements. And, well, I mean, obviously the Widowmaker here is going to be a first priority here. Picks have to come through.
Yeah, that first shot, now they just got the tip off that the Widowmaker's hiding somewhere behind the buildings. Candy Pop still yet to get that damage down. But on the other hand, Fifi is taking a lot of heat. Mercy right here by their side, and they're able to get that heal back up. But Sawhill, Timeless Ethereal making a lot of space so far. Genesis Reign fighting a lot harder for this first point, for the first choke, and Abby just hiding in the building, spotting out Sawhill. The monkey is going to have to retreat back to the rest of the team while Azure just spams down some suppression fire, making sure that they can't follow up onto their tank.
I mean, Sawhill took a lot of damage there, but it's a lot of charge given over to Cal.
Oh.
And what a, good lord, what a sleep coming through from Cal.
They get the res off though onto Fifi, but it's not going to matter. Very quickly taken down by the dynamite along with the shots, and Azure just showing off how proficient they are with the Echo, especially with the Mercy right inside of their pocket.
It's going to be down to Fifi and Abby to get to the point and contest for as long as they can. Nano will be up for Cal with any kind of serious damage coming through. Yeah, Candy Pop has to pop off here.
Yeah, they're already right at point A, right at the furthest push, and they're trying to get their Tracer in, harass the backline.
No!
They didn't touch! They didn't touch!
No! Oh, the letter numbers.
That is...
The letter numbers.
Yes.
Oh.
Everyone knows what letter number we are talking about in that last final play. Then now we just get to watch Sawhill go absolutely insane when it comes to diving this backline. The Winston is so strong. When Timeless Ethereal have got started, it proves that they are very, very powerful, and they are just a force to be reckoned with as soon as that momentum is on their side.
It's been 0 days. It's been 0 days since that happened, and honestly,
you should have a whiteboard behind you.
I should. I think that's coming up next on my to-do list. But honestly, I mean, the fact that Azure was really dominating on this Echo. I mean, Sawhill putting a ton of work in on the monkey, but I think Azure was really the focal point for this composition, being able to flit around. I mean, they had everything in their power. Cal sleeping through the EMP and taking Fifi down after being EMP'd. Hello? I mean, absolutely bonkers out of them. But, you know what? That is map number 3. Timeless Ethereal go on to match point here in our first of 3. And it's going to bring us up to a break. While we let these two teams get their breath together, get a quick drink, maybe get a little snacky snack in the interim. But we'll be back with map number 4. It's going to be Push when we come back from these messages. What's up, everybody? Chef Billy here, and if you know anything about me, you look at my Twitter, it's all about raising up voices and giving the support where it is needed, and now is the best time for anybody else that wants to join in. Please join in with us. Where did I get started with this? Well, it was actually at Console Gaming League. I was a caster there, and I was kind of shy about who I was, and they finally just said, you know what, Billy, just be you. Be you, be on camera, be you. And now that's what we're going to do for our marginalized and diverse communities that we need here. So we need more heroes. Are you going to join us?
Hi everyone, my name is Tiny Shiny, and I'm a play-by-play caster who identifies with she/her pronouns. One of the best moments I've had with the Overwatch community had to have been when I attended the Overwatch League 2022 Summer Showdown Finals in Toronto. It was mind-blowing to see all of these people of different ages, backgrounds, and identities all come together under one love for Overwatch. Hearing all the cheers of the crowd mixed with the top-tier commentary, and of course watching some of the best players in the world play the game we all enjoy was absolutely surreal and a moment I'll never forget. Calling all heroes is important because of the safe environment and visibility it provides to the marginalized groups competing within the Overwatch community. These gender groups are heavily underrepresented when it comes to the esports world, and the initiative taken by Calling All Heroes has created a safe space for competition. This event gives players a boost of equity to further establish themselves in the Overwatch esports scene and continue to develop their talents in a team environment. Calling All Heroes not only provides opportunities to players and staff, but spreads the message that anyone can be a hero.
We just came from Italy, and now we are headed over to Portugal, over in Esperanza, for our next map of this matchup. I am Epitomes, joined by Chef Billy, and we are so excited to bring you a map 4 of Genesis Reign versus Timeless Ethereal, currently at a 2-1 scoreline.
I mean, Timeless Ethereal has really turned it around since Lijiang Tower. So,
yeah.
I mean, Hollywood was pretty dominant. Rialto was pretty dominant as well, and now we'll see if we have the Junker Queen come back out here. Junker Queen works very well here. I do like the Junker Queen here because while there is high ground to contest, the payload is very finite in that it will be on the ground, and you can really use Junker Queen to a lot of good advantage here, using the commanding shout to get on top of your opposition. Definitely the way to go for me personally. So we're going to see actually the mirror here for both these teams now. The big difference is, look at the DPS here for Genesis Reign.
Yeah.
They're looking for high ground control with the Ashe, but then Fifi is looking for that up-in-your-face brawl. Fred the Fish back over to the trusty Sombra. So they are looking for a fantastic bout of harassment once again.
Yeah, this Tracer Sombra just puts so much pressure onto the back line of Genesis Reign, especially since they have that Genji who wants to go for the brawl, but they have to be protecting these supports. Now Fifi getting a little bit of early damage onto Azray. They're going to force the Tracer off the back, and Genesis Reign takes that first point of the objective and is able to get that push started on the robot. But Fifi spotting out Sombra. Now Fred the Fish also having to back off, and Azray being taken down, just walking into the line of the Shurikens. Now harassment onto Abby, but Abby's able to take down Wizard instead. And although the push is momentarily halted, Genesis Reign is still able to find so much. Abby on the Junker Queen. Once again, such a comfort pick for this squad. Genesis Reign push forward.
Seeing a little bit of a change up here coming from Timeless Ethereal. Azure going over to the Ashe, so you mean the burst damage from the Dynamite alone forces that swap out. So we'll see if there's going to be any other changes coming through for Timeless Ethereal, because this is going to be a first point being taken here. There's time to get a contest, and, well, we're seeing Abby on fire.
Abby is doing a lot for Genesis Reign squad so far. Sawhill is doing their best to try and get back into the fight, but still taking so much damage so quickly that it's just not enough to get them around the corner. Already, the first checkpoint has been reached by Genesis Reign. A forward spawn being activated, and the cleanse is able to get the Dynamite away, but somehow they have another one just ready. Timeless Ethereal, they're finally getting a bit of value though. Sawhill able to find the space and the team kill. First team kill of the match goes to Timeless Ethereal.
Azure now with the extra mobility of the coach gun allows them to deny a lot of the damage coming in from Genesis Reign. The big problem right now is that they don't have a support opened up. 10% away from both Cal and Wizard. Fifi, if they can get this blade out early, it's going to be a fight.
And as you call it, the blade comes through. Both of the Kitsune rushes activated, and now that they have the sound barrier to counteract that Dragon Blade, Genesis Reign have a little bit of a harder time, but they're not gonna need it. They just do so much damage, dish out the DPS in a matter of seconds, and Timeless Ethereal, they collapse.
Well, this is gonna be a 4 ultimate fight for both squads here. Who lets loose with the trigger first? We always say that the second ultimate generally wins the fight, so it's all gonna be about how you portion these out. Does Candy Pop go in with the Bob first to contest the point? Do you put Fifi out there with the blade? I definitely want to be looking for that.
Oh, Sawhill just trades out the tanks, and now Genesis Reign, they are missing that big health sink of the Junker Queen, but they have the Bob, and it just delayed the team a little bit longer. They wanted to stay around the corner. Azure being taken down by the Ashe. Still so much control of the high ground that Candy Pop has. Cal is looking for a little bit of damage, but the Kiriko just can't do enough. Going instead to Swift Step over to the Junker Queen, trying to keep their tank alive, and the Dragon Blade comes through. Wizard not risking the sound barrier, and instead the team is just going to fall. They're going to be sent back to spawn as Genesis Reign is allowed to push even further.
I mean, Fifi really holding on to the Dragon Blade long enough for all of the cooldowns to come out of Timeless Ethereal, and they were able to get dash reset through that, so that's a great fight win. They still have the sound barrier in response for this upcoming rampage from Sawhill. I mean, these Junker Queens, they're really holding on to their ultimates. They don't want to pop it early.
Yeah. And with the Junker Queen ultimate, you're really trying to force that cleanse out of the Kiriko, but there's the cleanse from Genesis Rain's side as Bob comes through to dish out so much damage. Abby still has the Rampage to go through, but now being forced into the corner, the Rampage comes out, but the counter Rampage goes quickly, and only the sound barrier for Timeless Ethereal is able to counteract all the damage. The Kitsune Rush also invested into the fight by Genesis Rain, but they're not going to get anything out of it. Lizard Wizard with a huge sound barrier to save this squad and allow them to venture further back into enemy territory.
I mean, they've got now the sound barrier difference between the two. I mean, that absolutely wins them the fight. I think ForYou probably wants to have theirs back, but they're leading now by about 25%, but Cal is going to have the Kitsune Rush on top of this, and Fred the Fish, I mean, on the Tracer, has Pulse Bomb in their back pocket.
Yeah, still having the Kitsune Rush that Cal is holding on to is excellent, since Mithrea kind of threw out the Panic ultimate back there. And Cal, what in the world, taking down Candy Pop. So we got an Ashe out. The Bob is still coming back up for Candy Pop, while Azure still recharging that ultimate. In terms of the DPS ultimates, Genesis Rain, they do have a leg up, but Fred the Fish, once again with the harassment on the Tracer, should be able to get that Pulse Bomb up very quickly. And, ooh, the Junker Queen takes so much damage. The Dynamite goes out. The Cleanse does come through, but it's still ticking for Azure. The Cleanse came out a little bit too early, and Sawhill is able to find Phoebe with the Jagged Knight. Abby, however, answers right back on Fred the Fish, and now without the robot being contested, they're just being pushed further down the road. Candy Pop with the Bob now out. Azure is looking to get the damage through, but has to back off with Lizard Wizard right at their side. The Kitsune Rush from Timeless Ethereal didn't do anything for them, and now Genesis Rain, they come through with the Jagged Knife.
Great disengage out of the Kitsune Rush, and they re-engage with the Bob. The Bob is placed perfectly, forces everybody back, and then Abby just goes ham with the Jagged Blade, with the Carnage, and they're just living for this. Now, ForYou, almost on sound barrier, they're going to have that advantage in this fight. Fifi with a blade as well. This is going to be very impactful if they can really portion out and take an Azure down with Bob in hand. This is huge.
Rampage from Timeless Ethereal just counteracts so much, though. Fifi doesn't want to risk the Dragon Blade here, and Cal is actually able to melee the Genji out of the fight. So now we're looking at Timeless Ethereal, such a huge advantage in terms of the bodies that are on the objective, and Abby is getting taken down very quickly, with ForYou being the only one that has that sustain for this squad. Genesis Rain, they're still getting so far, though. Push is one of those maps where the losing team just has to work so much harder in order to get themselves back onto even ground.
I mean, it'll be, you know, forward spawns here for Genesis Rain, so they'll be able to re-engage very quickly. You know, you're looking at sound barrier for both sides. The blade is still available with the Bob difference. I think Bob will be very impactful here if Azure can get it into the back line and force the cooldowns out of Genesis Rain.
Both sound barriers available, though. No matter what ultimate comes through, there's always going to be the sound barrier to counteract. And now Timeless Ethereal, they invested everything. There's the Rampage to come through. Abby was just waiting for the right moment, waiting for Lizard Wizard to take out the sound barrier. And now Genesis Rain, they're looking to come out on top of this fight, but still, that Sawhill is able to find so much. There's the Cleanse, there's the Suzu for Kiriko to stay alive. Mithrea actually finds one in Sawhill, and Fred the Fish, despite being a DPS, is actually running tail in between their legs from this Kiriko. Cal is able to hold on.
I mean, Mithrea right now is just having a fun time right now, just having, you know, a wonderful stroll through the streets of Portugal, and you know, clicking heads while they go through it. Now, sound barrier is still available to ForYou, so great ultimate discipline. Once again, I mean, you're going to be able to get so much value out of this. They should be able to push them beyond this 110 meter mark. I think this is really going to be coming down to a couple of fights here for Genesis Rain to even us up and put us on map 5.
Yeah, Genesis Reign, they are looking very controlled, and even though Timeless Ethereal, they are able to win some fights, they have to win so much more in a row. Now the Kitsune Rush from Cal is just neutralized by the sound barrier, the Bob coming through from Candy Pop as well, and they don't have anything Timeless Ethereal in order to just counter that. Now they just have to back out around the corner, and they're unable to contest the robot as heavily as they wanted to. The Rampage is going to allow a lot of damage to go out onto Fifi and Poryu though, but not enough to secure a pick. Now it's the Echo Switch that we're looking at from Timeless Ethereal that might be able to delay just a little bit further, but now 30 seconds remaining for this squad. It just doesn't seem like there's a lot that Timeless Ethereal can do at this point.
Not with Kitsune Rush and the Rampage online. I mean, Fred the Fish going over to the Ash with their own. And we saw how fast Azure got to get out before, but I mean, they're going so low in the commanding shout already early out.
Yeah, and they don't have the Mercy Pocket this time around either, so Azure, they are just taken down quickly. The Rampage goes through, the bleed applied to almost all of the players of Timeless Ethereal, and they go down in a fiery blaze of glory. The Warlord, Abby, reclaiming her throne over here on the Junker Queen.
I mean, what a map there from Genesis Reign, and it was really on the back of Mithraya and Poryu, enabling Abby to get so much work done. And I know Azure played their heart out here on this map, but I mean, it was just too much front-loaded pressure here from Genesis Reign. Timeless Ethereal just did not have the answers. The early fights coming through, Fifi getting the work done on the Genji. Just an immaculate map there coming from Genesis Reign. It does take us to map number 5.
Yeah, and Genesis Reign, this is already such a close best of 5, with Timeless Ethereal once again being the winners of the last Calling All Heroes Major. So they are neck and neck with the previous champions of this series.
I mean, I'll tell you what, Fifi is really impressive. She is putting on a clinic today. I mean, the blades, while, it's not, 3-man blades, the impact on them, pulling cooldowns out, getting even one is enough, especially in 5v5. I mean, taking that one kill out is the value is gained right there. So for these two teams, Control is going to be up here again for map number 5, and Abby, if Abby is going to a map where it's a Junker Queen centric map, I mean, I tell you what, this could be a very lights out for Genesis Reign. They have the opportunity to give us one of the biggest upsets we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, and this is just Mithraya's little bit of a stat sheet here over on that last map. We saw that Mithraya was having a little bit fun on the Kiriko, was even able to take out the tank and had Fred running from her on the Tracer. So she was definitely kind of a force to be reckoned with. There was a little bit of, spaghetti dropping on some panic ultimates, but at the end of the day, the Kitsune Rush was so readily available in almost every single fight, and it enabled their DPSs so well, especially with the mobility that you have on the Junker Queen and on the Genji. And both those ultimates from the Junker Queen and the Genji as well, the Rampage and the Dragon Blade, they have the potential to force out the sound barrier, and once you have one of them out there in the world, then you know that the other one is enabled to get a guaranteed kill here.
Well, I mean, this has been a truly phenomenal performance from the 7th ranked team coming here on our Calling All Heroes circuit. I mean, 875 points to Timeless Ethereal's 4,500 points, and they are taking it neck and neck. So regardless of how this goes, I think that, Genesis Reign have really shown that they are thriving in this Junker Queen meta right now with all the buffs that came through for the Junker Queen. I mean, they're just living their best life right now. And we're going to see about that because, wow, I mean, Abby really is, one of the best that I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, Abby, she got started over there on the Zarya, and we were like, oh, is this what we're doing? We're playing the Zarya. But instead, and then she switches on to the Junker Queen, and on maps where you can play Junker Queen, she plays absolutely so well on the Junker Queen. She just plays her heart out on that hero. And going on to the next map, I want to know if it's a Junker Queen map. I feel like that might just be the determining factor for whether or not Genesis Reign are going to be able to dominate on that map. And if Timeless Ethereal can't find an answer to this Junker Queen and it is a Junker Queen map, then we might see one of the biggest upsets here in the Calling All Heroes minor thus far.
I mean, if we go to Nepal, then I think it's going to be very much a Junker Queen map pick for them. And I mean, you can say what you want. Abby has proven that the Junker Queen needs to be reckoned with, and that's going to have to be something that Timeless Ethereal really do play into their strengths. I think that Sawhill will have to be that person that comes through and deals with this. I mean, and looking at how these two teams are playing right now, there's not much in between them.
It is definitely going to be a tough call. This feels like such a coin flip, especially on the control map, because they were going really far back and forth on Lijiang Tower, and it was ultimately the Junker Queen versus Zarya pick versus the potential Winston, and then it allows them to close the gap between the DPSs as well. We saw a Hanzo and a Mei even come out from Timeless Ethereal, and they just could not contend with the Sombra Tracer that was being brought forth by Genesis Reign.
You know what? I mean, this is going to take a lot of focus for both teams to deal with. And, well, we've got one-shot energy shoes, focus shoes. I tell you what, these are really good. They have 75 milligrams of caffeine in them. And, I mean, I don't need any more energy, but I tell you what, if you're slagging when you're playing comp, you're trying to, do your ladder grind, oh my gosh. These taste so good. It's the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the thing with energy drinks is like, who really wants to stay hydrated? But if you get that little bit of candy, you can just kind of chew it on the side and you keep going. You just keep going. And now we actually have our next map. It's going to be Ilios. And this is great news for all the Lucio players out there, especially on Elio as well. But I'm also curious, the Junker Queen can come out here, but it also kind of opens the door for a few other tank picks as well.
I mean, Junker Queen plays very well here, especially with Gracie on the well. You can pull somebody into the pit of hell, as I call the hole in well. And it looks like we're going to start on Ruins. Yeah, we're going to start on Ruins here. So, I mean, this is the brawl-centric map. You're definitely going to see the Junker Queen compositions come out here.
Yeah, both of these teams going into the Junker Queen. However, it's once again that Ashe Genji versus the Sombra Tracer. And we're going to see what they can get done in the first fight as the control point is unlocking. They're trying to take control of the inner corner of the map, fighting over on the bridge and on the high ground on the side of Timeless Ethereal, forcing their way into Genesis Reign spawn. And with the pick of the Tracer and the Sombra, they really want to get the harassment. They want to get that pinch play in, and they're definitely laying down a bit of damage, but Genesis Reign is doing a good job of forcing them back as well. Fifi falling to Sawhill though. Now the Genji, the front-loaded damage with the brawl is going to fall, and Fred the Fish also being able to find a few more picks with the help of the hack. All left up for you now, and the Lucio cannot hold on. Immediately, control point taken over by Timeless Ethereal.
I mean, early progress here for Timeless Ethereal, and it was on the back of Fred the Fish getting a manual hack, taking Fifi out. They controlled Mega on the side of the point there as well, so there was that resource there. So, I mean, early good pressure here from Timeless Ethereal. They should get to about 30%. It's going to be a catch-up game here for Genesis Reign to get back into the race.
Yeah, Zur getting real low, but able to still escape. Candy Pop switching onto the Tracer, however, having to reset the ultimate charge just a little bit. Sawhill able to stay alive with the commanding shout and trying to force the players back. Genesis Reign contesting the point, but it's the Rampage to come through from Sawhill that's going to finish off that fight. So much damage being taken, and there is no Suzu in sight. It's all left up to Candy Pop, and Azure is going to come out on top decisively.
I mean, the engagements that's coming through right now, you see the manual hacks coming through from Fred the Fish. That's the go sign for everybody to pounce upon that target.
Oh my God.
Fifi gets absolutely deleted by Fred the Fish. They are having a fantastic game right now, and Ezreal just going to be that nuisance factor that we love out of every single tracer.
Oh my god, it looked like Abby just gave up there at one point. And I mean, Timeless Ethereal, even the ultimate charges, you haven't had the support to even get the ultimate up once. This is the first time we're seeing Abby have the Rampage. Already Sawhill is 50% charged to another Rampage, and Azure, Fred the Fish, Cal, all having that in the back pocket. Wizard bound to have that sound barrier, and the EMP comes through very quickly. Sound barrier from Poryu to counter Rack, and there's the Rampage from Abby. This fight is suddenly changing momentum, and Genesis Rain seems to have it in their back pocket, but Timeless Ethereal, they're going to try and swing back. However, control of the point has been surrendered with Fred the Fish falling, and Azure still trying to be a nuisance in the back lines, but cannot do so. Instead, every single player of Timeless Ethereal being sent back to spawn and to regroup.
I mean, that was an expensive fight from Genesis Rain, but also, you know, 2 ultimates or 3 ultimates came out from Timeless Ethereal there as well. So the economy completely reset here. Both DPS ultimates ready to go for Rain. And I mean, looking at the sound barrier difference, this should be an easy flip here on the back of that ultimate.
The Dragon Blade, definitely one of those ultimates to watch for when you're playing the Lucio with the sound barrier, and I definitely fully expect it to come out, but oh my god, stuck Cal, but Cal somehow survives that, and with the sound barrier going out without even an ultimate being popped from Fifi. Oh, the Genji goes down though, and with the Rampage putting so much anti-health onto Genesis Rain, they're not able to deal with the amount of pressure that Sawhill is putting forward. Sawhill, this time, looking to become the Junker Queen player that comes out on top.
I mean, Fifi dies with blade in hand, and I mean, it was the sound barrier difference. Wizard holding on as long as they need it, and I mean, it's exactly what I thought would happen. You know, putting out, having the sound barrier difference, you get the overhealth there, and you're just basically unkillable, especially with the commanding shout, giving you the extra beyond that. I mean, this was perfectly played here from Timeless Ethereal and Genesis Rain. You know, they're at map 5. They've got one map here to pull it level. Otherwise, we're going to see a 3-2 win here for Timeless Ethereal.
And this was just so chaotic on all fronts as well, especially Genesis Rain being able to swing it back. Also that pulse bomb onto Cal, and Cal somehow being able to survive that as well. Now looking onto this next map though, they're taking out the Ashe Echo with the Mercy on the side. And on the other hand, Genesis Rain, it's the Brigitte Ana. So we are really looking at the Ana survivability from Timeless Ethereal. Will Azure and Wizard be able to harass enough to keep the attention of Genesis Rain, oh my god, off of their support? And Azure already finding the pick, and there's the Winston from Sawhill, and Sawhill is so comfortable on the Monkey once again, taking control of the high ground. Abby attempts to contest here, but Candy Pop and Fifi, they just don't have as much control of the air space as this Mercy Echo duo does.
I mean, put some respect on Cal's name. That anti-nade completely eliminates Candy Pop twice now in 2 fights.
Oh my god.
Good lord. Azure also just having a fantastic time on the Echo. This is brutal. Somebody. Yes, this is brutal.
Repeat, improve.
This is, well, you know, they already have control of the point. They're already up to 25. They can potentially swing this around. Fifi is going to look to match, but that also means resetting that ultimate timer build-up. And Azure already has a duplicate ready as well, and on top of that, they have the Mercy in the back pocket. Poryu and Mithrea, they are doing a good job of protecting the Ana, but as soon as that Brigitte goes down, you have a problem. Now a double tank with the Winston already up. Tesla Cannon's firing away at the Brigitte. Even this support cannot keep the Winston away for too long. Fifi does fall after trading through Sawhill, but they still have that Echo available for the secondary tank. Now the duplicate does run out, but there's the Nano just to mitigate so much damage for this squad. Now Azure looking once again to take control of the air space as Sawhill finally gets back into the fight.
I mean, this has been an extended fight and really not any value gained from it. Sawhill is probably going to go down here. Yes, PP does get the focusing beam down. So, I mean, this is the flip here for Genesis Rain. This is the chance for them to take a lot of progression here. And if Abby can stay alive here and hold this Primal Rage, they should be able to match the percentage from Timeless Ethereal. And they're going to have 4 ultimates coming into this next fight.
Genesis Rain, they flip the point over to their side. Timeless Ethereal, they're trying to get the ultimates up, but there's the Fifi popping the duplicate and also able to get the Primal Rage out. Now there's Sawhill just trying to force all these players off the point. A lot of damage being put down by Mithrea, but is it enough? There's the Mercy coming through and the Tesla Cannons firing away. Once again, Brigitte attempting to survive the onslaught from the Winston, but on the back end, the rest of Timeless Ethereal is finding so much value. Azure 1% away from the duplicate, while Timeless Ethereal, Fret the Fish on the point with the Ash, having the Bob ready, a potential 6-man to put into the fight, now flipping the point over to their side once again. This second round is becoming very, very close, but Genesis Rain, they do not have the wiggle room here.
Nano advantage here to Genesis Rain. They're going to pop an early Bob onto the point. And, well, kind of a wasted ultimate there. I think I think Fred's going to want that one back, because now they have all the engagement tools to go and Nano out onto Abby.
They do have that duplicate once again from Azure. That ultimate is literally looking like a pulse bomb, the way that this Echo is building it up. However, Fret the Fish falling, even if there was a Bob, they can't be used here, but you still have the duplicate. You could potentially get a second tank into this fight, but now Cal going down and no resurrection in sight. It's going to be a tough one. The Brigitte comes in, Lizard Wizard falling, but the Brigitte very quickly is also neutralized. Echo being forced out of the duplicate form. Once again, point flipped over to Genesis Rain, going into the 80th percentile.
I mean, we've got Nano available to Cal here, so it's going to go on to Sawhill. Sawhill's going to get a lot of work done building up to that next Primal Rage. Fifi might be able to get a duplicate through if they can land it through it. Cal goes down, huge pick.
And Candy Pop also getting work done now on the Tracer. There's the Mercy here, but she is just so diveable with the Winston and the Tesla Cannon in hand. And now Azure has lost the pocket. Overtime activated with a touch, but it's just a touch. Objective secured by Genesis Rain. Now a 1-1 scoreline headed into round 3, which is Ilios well.
Okay, so there's two schools of thought here, Epitomes. I mean, Azure has shown us that they are absolutely freaking amazing with the Echo. And I mean, you saw it time and time again. I mean, Cal was getting the work done. The dives came through. When Fifi swapped over to the answering Echo, that's when this entire map flipped on its head. Fifi was matching blow for blow from Azure. And I mean, the duplicates were fantastic. The focus fire was good. Really impressed with what they got done there. So now, Junker Queen versus Winston. Woo! This is going to be a very interesting look here, and it's going to be the Candy Pop Tracer.
I mean, Abby proven to be very, very proficient on the Junker Queen. Azure once again with the Mercy Pocket in on this Echo, while Fret the Fish has gone back to the old reliable Sombra, and Fret the Fish is able to get a lot of damage down on the Fifi, not to mention the anti-nade, going to delay them from wanting to push any further. Azure, so much damage can be outputted by this Echo. The focusing fire onto Fifi is able to take out the enemy. Now, with the first point being taken by Genesis Rain, though, the control goes over to this Genesis Rain squad. Timeless Ethereal, they definitely weren't expecting this. Sawhill now looking to get a bit of early damage down before regrouping with the rest of the team, but looking at the ultimates, the support ultimate of the Nano goes to Cal, but on the other hand, the rest of the team is just so far ahead with Genesis Rain's side.
I mean, that's big picks coming through from Azure once again, taking this fight into their own hands. Oh, this is all about stalling right now. I mean, yeah, Candy Pop, you're not long for this world. So about 33% here for Genesis Rain. They're going to have ultimates coming up online for the recontest, but it's all about Timeless Ethereal moving forward, taking space away from Genesis Rain. And, I mean, Candy Pop, I think, support right now. They don't have the escapability like they had with the Kiriko and the Suzu to be able to counteract that pulse bomb. So Candy Pop gonna have to be very cagey with this pulse bomb.
Looking for the Junker Queen duplicate. Now, Azure has to display a mastery with this hero in order to try and get themselves in one fight. An ultimate invested. Now the Rampage, the anti-nade is so good for Genesis Reign. Now they still force themselves onto the site. Azure is just fighting alone, and the flip goes through despite the duplicate, despite the Rampage, despite all the anti and damage.
I mean, Genesis Reign did that in the neutral. They're going to have 5 ultimates here into this fight. Fred the Fish, though, in the neutral, though, takes down Fifi, so the duplicate offline for now. And a big sleep onto Mithraya. They're going to have to swift step out of this damage.
Now the Rampage does come out from Abby, just trying to fight in the corner, but Azure doing so well on the Echo. Once again, it seems like it's flip-flopping back and forth. Sometimes the fights go their way, sometimes they don't. But now with the Mercy being taken down by Mithraya, it's going to give a little bit less survivability to Azure, a little bit less confidence in the air, but they still have control of the point and they have ample time to get back on the objective. Genesis Reign with 3 ultimates in their pockets.
You're looking at the EMP to deny the value out of this upcoming Fifi kick from Fifi. That's a huge EMP, and they actually let loose with it early.
Oh my gosh. The EMP from Fred the Fish enables so well the rest of Timeless Ethereal's team, and Sawhill still staying alive with the help of the Ana right behind, and that Biotic Nade is able to keep the health up. Now, surpassing Genesis Reign in percentage. Timeless Ethereal are looking at a slight advantage, but they are missing a few ultimates. Azure can build up that duplicate very quickly, but on the other side, Fifi already has it ready to go, and the Kitsune Rush and Sound Barriers have so much more power than a potential Valve can go through. But the Nano does come out, and Sawhill is looking to force these players through, but the Kitsune Rush just lets them slip through their ranks. Cal does fall, the Ana getting dove onto, but the duplicate ready for Timeless Ethereal means that Azure has a chance to do something, falls into the well, and Fifi takes down Fred the Fish. The overtime is headed over to Genesis Reign's direction, and they're able to flip the point. Now they want to fight further into the spawn. They can't let them get a single toe onto this objective. Fred the Fish with the invisibility they need to watch out for, though. The Sombra can very easily sneak around their back lines while Sawhill forces them forward.
I mean, Candy Pop with the pulse bomb, this could be on to Cal, and if Cal does get taken out, this is going to be a last-second contest. Big hack comes through. Oh. The Rampage is not going to be able to go through.
Oh my gosh. Abby, 97% on the ultimate and taken down. Now the fight is looking to be swinging to Timeless Ethereal, and they have such a little bit of time left. It's overtime and the Rampage to try and get on the objective. Overtime running out quickly, though, and they do get a little bit of a touch in, but both of the DPS players just get shredded. Abby makes it on, though, gets another touch, reactivates the overtime, but with the Primal Rage coming through, they have so much power to force them back. Still the contention from Abby, though, staying alive. The EMP doesn't allow them to get those heals through. The sustain isn't there. Mithraya falls, and now it's just all left up to 1. It's left up to 2. Candy Pop and Fifi, what can they do? And the answer is nothing. Timeless Ethereal, it was close, it was dicey, but at the end of the day, they prove that they can still take the crown as the victors of the previous major.
I mean, I tell you what, we were just treated to some of the best Overwatch, regardless of the community. This was a fantastic performance from both of these teams, and I'm just honored to be here as part of this. This was fantastic out of both of them. Oh man, I think that the hack that came through from Fred the Fish there onto Abby, 97% to Rampage. If you don't get that manual hack off, I think we're looking at an upset there. And looking in our chat, looks like Rift Guardians against Whiplash, who we previously saw reverse sweep Whiplash and take the 3-2 victory over in the other quarterfinal. So man, oh man, it has been an interesting night here at Calling All Heroes Epitomes. I mean, this was a knockdown, drag him out, beat your face kind of matchup. And I mean, for both these squads. I mean, like I said before, Genesis Reign needs to be have some respect put on their name because they took the previous major winner to the very brink.
And it's not even as if Timeless Ethereal was being challenged very severely in the last major either. They won the finals 3-0. So Genesis Reign should be incredibly proud of themselves for what they were able to do here in these quarterfinals. They were able to bring it all the way to 5 maps in this best of 5. And at the same time, they kept it really competitive on the 3rd map too. It could have gone either way at the very last fight, and Timeless Ethereal barely scraped a pass. Although they do send Genesis Reign home, Genesis Reign put up an incredible fight, and you can just see the caliber of all the heroes that are answering the call.
I mean, we need more heroes like this. I mean, this gender-inclusive community, this gender-inclusive initiative is everything that I could have wanted for it. I've been championing the scene for a long time, and to get to see these players in action live here for myself is a tremendous honor and privilege. And I tell you what, there's still 2 more minors to go. There's 2 majors to go. There's also a last chance qualifier before we have the Grand Championships next year in 2024. So, I mean, we're going to see Genesis Reign in the future. I have full confidence that they are going to make themselves completely viable in the future. I mean, this team was absolutely impressive epitomes, and man, Timeless Ethereal, woo! I mean, by the skin of their teeth, they get through.
That was just a matchup, and it was so exciting to watch. And off the back of that, we are going to be able to get an interview with the winners of these quarterfinals. After a very quick break, we'll get them all set up, and we will see you then.
Hi, my name's Emiliath and my pronouns are she, her. I'm a full-time Overwatch content creator and HEM2 support main that plays mostly Ana and Kiriko. Oh, and I also struggle to stay on the map.
Aaron.
I just think Ramacho's not good. I think, dude, I did it again.
In the same exact spot! I got into Overwatch because one of my college professors recommended it to me, and I promised him I would play after I graduate. Weirdly enough, I think he was also a GM Ana main. Anyway, when I finally did play it, I got hooked instantly. It just didn't really feel like any other game compared to it. And here I am years later still playing. Some of the most memorable moments in the community were during the creator experimental patches. I just think that was like a really cool way to get the community involved, and I think pretty much everybody had fun playing it. And I think it's awesome how many community-run tourneys there are. Every single one is fun to participate in, fun to watch, and it's just really cool that so many people take initiative to bring the community together. Calling all heroes is important because so many marginalized gender people are afraid or simply can't get their foot in the door in esports. They're likely to receive harassment and be discriminated against, so creating a space that allows them to freely and openly be who they are without fear of discrimination is important. It also provides a way to highlight esports talent that may have been overlooked otherwise. Calling all heroes is necessary and an amazing organization.
Yep.
And welcome back. We are in the post-match of a grueling best-of-5 series, and we are here with Cal OW, who is the support of Timeless, and we are so excited to interview them. So, Cal, how are you doing so far? How do you feel after that match?
I'm pretty good. It was a little bit of a barn burner, but it was fun. Very, very enjoyable. They just have like the two best DPS I've ever seen. That could just be like Lip's little brother or something, a little sister on Genji, but it's very enjoyable. Very competitive too, which made it really fun.
Yeah, and what did you expect going into that matchup?
I expected to get in, pretty fast, but we were met with like a brick wall per se, and it was not what any of us were thinking that match was going to entail.
I mean, you guys won the previous major, and you've had a pretty busy season as well, competing in the OCE Arrogant Open Division. You won the Open Division there. You played with Dire Wolves as well. So, I mean, the level of competition, you just said that Fifi really impressed you. What else impressed you about this Genesis team?
Their kiting was actually very, very impressive. Like, you don't really see that in like lower skill teams, like not even in contenders you see that as much as like I saw it today. And it really impressed me how like their push and pull, I guess, with like their abilities on like their Ashe. That person on Ashe is just too good. Like I couldn't peek anything. We couldn't walk into anything. Like so an Owl team's got to get that player easily.
Candy Pop really did pop off, and I mean, you were actually popping off yourself. I mean, on Rialto, we saw Fifi come in with the EMP, and you sleep, and you anti, and you delete. That was pretty impressive. Talk us how that came about.
Come on, Sheffield, you know me. You know I don't miss those. Come on.
It's true. It's true. I do know you. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. One more question. This is a gender-inclusive tournament. What does this mean for you to be able to compete here, being your true, authentic self?
It's actually like very nice to like be open about it. Being in like a Christian area of life, it's like pretty new to me to like express myself because like you can tell I sound pretty monotone and like all my friends are pretty monotone in real life and stuff, and like it just feels nice to like be me, I guess, in a way, where it's like I don't have to like cater to other people's like beliefs or like what they think, and it's just like I can just be me. Yeah.
Proud of you, bro. Proud of you. Proud of you, Cal. I'm so proud of you. But this is you know how long I've been championing the scene, but I mean, getting to hear it from your mouth, especially, that was just, it's the icing on the cake for me. So, be proud, be who you are. We're proud of you.
Thank you, Chef Philly.
And before you go, is there any shout outs or call outs that you want to make today?
Shout out my team. They really pulled through today. They were a little tilted near the end of that, but we came together and we really talked it out. And shout out my friends that like push me to like be who I am and like play how I play, and that tell me to never just stop, even when stuff gets rough. And my wife, shout out her. She's great. She really helps me too. That's about it.
Yeah, that is so nice to hear. And thank you so much for talking to us today, Cal. We really appreciate it. And congratulations once again on the win. We hope to see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Timeless Ethereal. They are headed on to the semifinals tomorrow, making it another round in the playoffs. And speaking of the playoffs, let's take a look at how the bracket played out today.
Well, I mean, we've got a lot of results here to get through, and I mean, Rift Guardians, they're going to be looking at who are they going to face here between Dark Monkeys and VT Blue?
I think Dark Monkeys.
Yeah, I think Dark Monkeys going to come through there, and then I think the Nixel Academy and Timeless Ether match tomorrow is going to be absolutely insane. Rift Guardians, I think they've got a pretty fast track into the final. Because they've just been absolutely owning it. But I tell you what, for the Nixel Academy game tomorrow, Timeless Ether, I mean, Timeless Ethereal, they're going to have to really play their hearts out because they got taken to the brink today. Now, maybe this is a wake-up call for them, to not get tilted in the middle of a game because, man, it was entertaining. I mean, I love seeing map fives. I love seeing the back and forth and the adaptations. And I mean, that was on full display here today, Epitomes. And you know what? I had a wonderful time casting with you, my friend. You did so well.
Thank you so much, Chef Billy. And yeah, this bracket is insane. I mean, we already know that NYXL and Timeless Ethereal, they did in the last major, they were the top 2 teams, and Timeless Ethereal did come out on top. But, after you play a team a few times, after you have them a few times on stream especially, you have that little bit of extra VOD review material. And then maybe they found a way to work around their previous faults, and, only time will tell. But this matchup also pretty early in the bracket, not in the grand finals, but in the semifinals. It's going to be pretty interesting.
It'll be very interesting tomorrow. You'll see myself and Epitomes on the semifinal tomorrow. And then CB and Tiny Shiny will be here for your grand final. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. And make sure that you are here tomorrow. Same time, I believe, Director, yes? Yeah, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. That's 8:30 on the East Coast. But for myself and Epitomes, make sure you take care of each other. We're all in this game together. We'll see you tomorrow night.